plates, paper plates. There's all violations against the Department of Transportation rules and regulations of where you can park a vehicle. There's just no enforcement. And that's because we don't have police. We have these e-bikes going up and down. We have the motorbikes. They're not following rules and regulations. They should be licensed. They should have a way of being identified. This way, enforcement can take place because people are terrified walking out into the streets.
Mr. Mamdani, your plan for illegal parking?
We have to showcase that accountability is true, whether for New Yorkers who are just living in this city or those who are working for this city. And the violation
period, on day one. On the quality of life issues, the worst thing that could happen is if the Assemblyman's proposal for legalizing prostitution went through. That would be terrible for the quality of life. He also doesn't want to enforce misdemeanors.
We're getting to that,
That's
Mr.
assault, larceny, etc. That would be terrible.
We're going to have time to address that.
I want to be very clear. Not only have I never called for the legalization of prostitution, I'm not calling for that today either. And I also have never said anything about not enforcing misdemeanors. This is just yet another figment of Andrew Cuomo's imagination.
The DSA, which you give your part of your salary to, that's their position: abolish jails, no new carceral facilities, don't enforce misdemeanors. And you're on the bill in Albany as a sponsor to decriminalize prostitution.
The difference between myself and Andrew Cuomo, of which there are many, is that there is no one that is actually telling me what to do other than the 8.5 million people who call this city home. If you want my policies, you'll find them on my website.
Who told you to legalize prostitution?
Well,
okay, we actually have a question.
Andrew, you can't escape this. You signed the law doing away with loitering for prostitution. That was the law put forward by Jessica Ramos.
Gentlemen,
you started the prostitution in East Elmhurst, and Jackson Heights and Flushing.
Mr. Sliwa, we have...
And you want to add to it, which diminishes the quality of life.
Mr. Sliwa, when I talk over you, nobody's hearing you. And we actually have a question on that. So we'll let Rosarina ask.
This question, candidates, we want to come to Queens, where we know that prostitution has been an ongoing complaint. Mayor Adams formed a task force and ordered sweeps by the NYPD, but the situation continues, especially around the very popular Roosevelt Avenue. As mayor, Mr. Mamdani, how would you handle this situation? You have 30 seconds.
I want to first be clear that I am not, and nor have I ever called for the legalization of prostitution. And if you are happy with what's happening on Roosevelt Avenue, then you should vote for Andrew Cuomo, because his policy is to continue the exact same ones we've seen under Eric Adams. My policy is to actually take on sex trafficking, to have a zero tolerance for violence against women, and to follow the advice of district attorneys that we have here in New York City, the current Manhattan DA, the former Manhattan DA, the current Brooklyn DA, the former Manhattan DA, having said that prosecuting women for prostitution is something that actually leads to less safety. And what we need to do is provide an economy of opportunity.
Just a quick clarification. So no legalization, how about decriminalization?
I do not think that we should be prosecuting women who are struggling, who are currently being thrown in jail, and then being offered job opportunities. I think we should be actually providing those kinds of opportunities at the first point of interaction.
Mr. Cuomo, your turn.
Look, Bill de Blasio, the Assemblyman is a mini-me BDB, okay? He's Bill de Blasio light. He proposed legalizing prostitution. He didn't get it, and he just told the cops, don't arrest any more prostitutes. There is a bill in Albany that he signed that says the prostitution, that a woman who is a prostitute, that would be decriminalized. That is what the bill says. And that's what he said, if you listen very carefully. That would take Roosevelt Avenue and explode it, because it would make it legal for prostitutes.
But real quick, how would you handle this situation?
You have to enforce the law. It's illegal. I went to Roosevelt Avenue. I talked to the store owners. I talked to the neighbors. I walked down Roosevelt Avenue with prostitutes there at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Your turn, Mr. Sliwa.
I've dealt with this back in the 80s and 90s in Hell's Kitchen in Chelsea, when they were overrun with open-air prostitution and Times Square. You don't go after the women. The women are the victims here. You lock up the Johns, you shame the Johns. You let everybody know about the Johns. The madams and the pimps need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And these absentee landlords who knowingly rent their rooms, their apartments out for the use of prostitution, the Department of Building should come in, padlock the building, seize the building. Because many of these landlords live in Delray, Florida. They did back in the 80s and 90s when we did it in Chelsea and Times Square and Hell's Kitchen.
And
they're doing it again, and
Thank you,
there's
Mr.
no
Sliwa.
enforcement. That's why the prostitution.
We're going to go to Sally now.
Thank you, David. We're going to talk a bit about experience and beliefs. We've covered a lot of ground tonight, but we want to probe a bit deeper into each of your mindsets and how you'll approach governing as mayor. Mr. Cuomo, you have touted your experience on the campaign trail time and again, but you pretty squarely lost the Democratic primary to Mr. Mamdani, forcing you, a lifelong Democrat, to run as an independent. When you announced that decision, you said, quote, "When you get knocked down, learn the lesson and pick yourself back up." What lesson did you learn, and what do you feel it said about you, something you did wrong, something that you need to change about yourself?
Yeah, I think in the primary campaign, I did not do enough on social media, which is a very effective medium now. I think the Assemblyman did do a better job on TikTok and social media than I did during the campaign, and that has changed now. I've also increased my activity significantly, but my agenda is exactly the same. I am the Democrat, although I'm not on the Democratic line. He is a Democratic socialist, called Barack Obama evil and a liar for Kamala Harris. Fight and deliver is I will fight for people, I will fight the bureaucracy, and I will deliver results. New Yorkers need the mayor to get something done. This is all words and theories. I am a manager who can actually get things done.
This is a question about self-reflection. Is the thing you're reflecting on the most that you need to be on social media more? Was there any other deeper lesson that you learned?
Between the two campaigns, social media, more accessibility.
Okay.
I just have to say, it's been an hour and 20 minutes of this debate, and we haven't heard Governor Cuomo say the word affordability. That's why he lost the primary. That's why he'll lose the general election. And you can lie all you want, but the truth is, I voted for Kamala Harris. I'm the only candidate on this stage to have the endorsement of Kamala Harris, and I'm not the one who's funded by Bill Ackman, who called Kamala Harris unqualified to be the vice president of this country.
Okay, may I respond?
Yes, brief response, please.
There are a lot of New Yorkers who support me. And there are a lot of Jewish New Yorkers who support me because they think you're anti-Semitic. So it's not about Trump or Republican. It's about you.
Do you think he's anti-Semitic, Mr. Cuomo?
I don't make those judgments about people. Are you a racist? Are you an anti-Semite? I know there are many Jewish people who believe he is anti-Semitic. I believe not condemning the globalized Intifada, what he has said about Hamas.
But Mr.
I can
Cuomo,
see where they
covered
are
I'm
inflamed.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I covered your speech in an Upper West Side synagogue where you said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. There is no difference. And you were talking about Mr. Mamdani. Is that not an allegation?
No, I make that statement all the time. I wasn't referring to Mamdani.
Okay, all right. Mr. Mamdani, a brief response, and then we have to move on.
I have denounced Hamas again and again, and it will never be enough for Andrew Cuomo, because what he is willing to say, even though not on this stage, is to call me, the first Muslim on the precipice of leading this city, a terrorist sympathizer, is to send mailers that artificially lengthen my beard, is to say to New Yorkers that they should be fearful.
Okay, Mr.
When what I will do is deliver
Melissa has a specific question
Mr.
for you.
Mamdani, you are the Democratic nominee, and you're also a member, as we've been discussing, of a political organization that may be less familiar to New Yorkers, the Democratic Socialists of America, which believes in dismantling capitalism. New York City is the global headquarters of the finance industry. So how would you be the mayor of Wall Street and the DSA? You have 1 minute.
I would be the mayor of this entire city. And that means ensuring that the wealth that we generate in this city is also wealth that every single New Yorker can actually feel in their pockets. Because what we have today is a system that has generated the most wealth in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, where 1 in 4 of our neighbors are living in poverty. That's unacceptable. We can't look at 500,000 kids hungry every single night as just the cost of doing business in this city. That's something we have to actually change. And I'm going to do that by fighting for my neighbors in Queens that I've come to know, who are not only the ones who own teapots and toy stores, who own diners and dry cleaners, but also the ones who work there. Because right now, all of them are being pushed out of this city by corporate greed, by private equity, and by a politics that refuses to fight for them.
Just like
I will finally
Just a
deliver that
quick
politics.
follow-up, Mr. Mamdani. A lot of Hispanic them and are a little bit scared to hear your policies. What would you tell them?
Well, I would first say that I wouldn't be here without the support of Latino New Yorkers, because it was the majority of their support that helped to make me the Democratic nominee. And what democratic socialism means is a belief in the dignity of each and every New Yorker and the responsibility city government has to deliver that dignity. That's why I'm speaking about childcare, because it's pricing out New Yorkers from the city. That's why I'm speaking about freezing the rent, because housing isn't a human right in the way that we practice our politics in this city. And that's why I'm talking about making buses fast and free, because 1 in 5 New Yorkers are being priced out of public transit today.
Rosarina. So, Mr. Sliwa, I would like to talk to you because you were here with us 4 years ago in the same stage for the general election debate, and you lost it. Why do you believe New York is ready to elect a Republican this time around?
First off, did I not warn you 4 years ago that Eric Adams would be corrupt and we would have chaos? Did I not? Of course I did. And I get praised for that. Now I'm trying to get people to vote for me, not just on the Republican line, but also my wife, Nancy, who is the best thing that has ever happened to me, created the first ever independent Protect Animals line, which calls for no-kill shelters and putting animal abusers in jail. But the other thing that differentiates me from both of my adversaries is that I am opposed to the city of yes, which will destroy the residential neighborhoods. Both of them are for the city of yes. So when you vote for me, whether on the Republican line or the Protect Animals line, turn your ballot over and vote no on all those initiative and referendums. Imagine, they've said, how can you, Curtis, a Republican, work with a Democratic majority in the council? Adrian Adams is in agreement with me. The Democratic city council people are in agreement with me. No to the city of yes, which will take your homes and provide you instead with lithium-ion battery warehouses next to your house, which are like mini Chernobyl. I'm the only candidate who is opposed to the city of yes.
Thank you.
I have a quick follow to that, Mr. Sliwa. How do you bring down costs if you don't build more housing?
Oh, it's very simple to build housing. You just look in New York City. We have so many dense areas where you no longer can use the commercial space. They used to be office space. And you just convert it into residential housing. You don't need to go into the outer boroughs. You don't need to use wetlands and parklands, which they seek to do. If you build a new building, it takes 5 years. If you convert an
All right, Mr. Sliwa, thank you. We want to change the pace
it can
a
be
little
done
bit.
in a year.
I want to change the pace and just get a sense of what you think about political leadership. We're curious about who you admire. Who is the best modern-day U.S. president? Mr. Cuomo?
Modern day? Well, I'm partial. I was Bill Clinton's Housing and Urban Development Secretary. We built affordable housing all across the United States.
Bill Clinton?
Empowerment zones. I would say Bill Clinton.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
I would say FDR.
Mr. Sliwa?
Is modern day?
Modern.
Well,
Man,
I'd say FDR also, if that's modern day.
Mr. Sliwa?
A man that ended up being loved by Democrats and Republicans alike, the greatest governor we've ever had in my lifetime, George Pataki. 3 terms, no chaos, no corruption.
I was asking.
And he actually beat
President.
the better
President.
your father.
Mr. Sliwa, modern-day U.S.
This
president.
governor and this
Modern-day
president.
U.S. president.
Curtis. Wait,
Who's the
Who you thought the best modern
best president in our lifetime?
Yeah.
I would say the best president in our lifetime that I've experienced, I would go back to Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Okay. How about the best New York City mayor, Mr. Sliwa? Best New York City mayor, Mr. Sliwa.
Rudy Giuliani, who endorsed me last week.
Okay.
And I'd have a little bit of Michael Bloomberg thrown in because he liked
Mr.
the delegate
Mamdani?
responsibility.
I think the best New York City mayor of all time is Fiorello LaGuardia.
Mr. Cuomo?
It was Bill de Blasio last debate.
No, I've always said Fiorello is the best mayor of all time.
Who's yours, Mr. Cuomo?
Is it of all time or modern time?
Best New York City mayor in Europe.
Of all time, it is Fiorello LaGuardia.
We agree.
Recently, I would say Mayor Dinkins and Mayor Bloomberg.
Okay. How about the political leader, dead or alive, you most admire? Mr. Mamdani?
I would say I admire Bernie Sanders.
Mr. Cuomo?
My father.
Mr. Sliwa.
I said it already, George Pataki,
George
who was
Pataki.
loved by Democrats and Republicans and the greatest mayor in our lifetime.
All right.
The greatest
Sal,
governor in our
I just
lifetime.
have one more before Sally starts to ask you about schools. A show of hands. Who supports Kathy Hochul for re-election?
It's a decision that should be made after this general election.
So no decision. Mr. Cuomo, you handpicked her as your lieutenant governor. No thought?
You have to know who's running.
Yeah. Okay, so
And I would add that I do think that Kathy Hochul, our governor, has been doing a good job in not only
Do you
serving
support her
and
for re-election?
delivering, not only delivering for New Yorkers, but also standing up to Donald Trump.
do you support her for re-election?
And endorse her.
I'm focusing on November.
Why don't you
and
endorse
I
her?
appreciate her support.
All right,
and I
thank you,
don't-
Ms.
How about
Sally?
you had
Okay,
Elise
we're gonna
Stefanik
turn
to
to-
take out Kathy Hochul?
No.
So you have a
Okay.
Republican
All right.
Mayor Curtis,
All right.
a Republican Governor
Thank you, gentlemen.
Stefanik,
Thank you.
like Giuliani
We want to
and
talk about
Pataki, who
schools.
saved this city
We want to
and
talk about
state.
schools. Sally?
Okay, thank you, David. Let's turn to education. There are a number of issues facing public schools. One that's been controversial in the campaign is the Gifted and Talented program, which offers accelerated instruction to elementary school children. Mr. Mamdani, you have said that you want to phase out the Gifted and Talented program, while Mr. Cuomo and Mr. Sliwa want to expand it. Mr. Sliwa, we will start with you. What is your plan for the program? You have 1 minute.
Gifted and talented.
Yes, Gifted and Talented.
I have two younger sons with Melinda Katz, the Queens DA. They both attempted to get into Gifted and Talented as 4-year-olds. They failed. It did not present a problem with their future education. We don't have enough slots. Right now, they're 1,900. We need to have at least 5,000 slots around the city. What they have not done at the Department of Education is make these tests available in Black and Hispanic communities. So, for instance, you have 77,000 children who are 4 years old. Only 10,000 have taken the test. Only 2,000 are accepted. Why not offer the test to all 77,000? And even if a gifted and talented class only has 3 or 4 in a minority school, give these children an opportunity to excel too. That would make it fair for everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Cuomo, how does your plan differ from Mr. You have 1 minute.
First, I support mayoral control. I think it would be a terrible mistake to roll back mayoral control. That's probably been the most dramatic educational reform in 40 years. We'd go back to the old system that had local school boards, which were corrupt, patronage mills, et cetera. So who runs the system is number one. I would expand the gifted and talented programs. Accessibility, I'd offer preparatory courses to any student, parent that wanted to take them. I'd double the number of specialized high schools from 9 to 18, and I would keep the SAT as it is.
Thank you. And Mr.
Can I
Mamdani.
add one thing?
Very
There's
brief.
been no discussion about vocational high schools,
Okay, we're
which save so
gonna
many
keep-
young men and women.
Sorry, this is the
We
question.
need to expand vocational training for those
Okay,
who are
we're
not
going
going
to
to
keep
achieve
going here with
academic
Mr.
excellence.
Mamdani. Why should the Gifted and Talented program be phased out, in your opinion? You have a minute to answer.
So I want to be very clear. I have spoken solely of gifted and talented for kindergartners. I do not believe that kindergartners should be subject to a singular assessment. I have not spoken of any gifted and talented programs older than for kindergarten. I'm solely speaking about kindergarten. And I believe that we should be delivering the best education across the country here in this city. We will do that by following through on the proposals I've put forward to hire 1,000 more teachers every single year through our Community to Classroom program, one that will ensure that we're providing each student, whether they be in high school or someone who is an adult looking to become a teacher, with $12,000 in tuition subsidies so that they can start to fulfill the 7,000 to 9,000 additional teachers we need so that we can actually deliver on the Class Size Reduction Act, which I was proud to pass in Albany, that will ensure that children and teachers actually have a manageable ratio in that classroom so that they can learn. Because today, that learning is being rendered impossible by the number of kids in that same classroom. It's time to make sure that that number is lower.
Thanks.
But
Would
you don't
gentlemen
believe the
switch-
mayor should run this system.
I've been critical of mayoral control because of the ways in which it's been used to take away the voice of parents, of educators, of students. And I think it's important that those same voices be a part of how we lead the system.
So are you for or against mayoral control?
I've been critical of it. I'm against mayoral control, and I think that there's an importance of developing something that actually enshrines all of those voices together.
Mr. Cuomo, you also tried to curtail it when Mayor de Blasio was mayor. But
I'm
we
sorry?
can go. Did you hear what she said?
No.
I was saying you proposed a curtailment of mayoral control when Mayor de Blasio was mayor during
There's
negotiations.
been multiple modifications of mayoral control over
But
the years.
some proposed curtailment at your hand. So if you're such a champion of it tonight,
No,
I think it's worth pointing
I never
out.
proposed reversing mayoral control.
No, shortening the duration of time he would have control of schools.
Yes, for renewal. The renewal
Mamdani,
period.
How much
Counter
control
to
of
what you're
schools,
saying.
Mr. Mamdani, how much control of schools would you be giving up? Is it just a sharing arrangement? I know you want to share with the districts and with parents, or would you be giving up full control? And is that an accountability problem if the buck doesn't stop with you?
I think the mayor needs to retain the accountability so that New Yorkers know exactly who they can come to when they have critiques. And I think we also have to develop a system where we don't have what we saw just recently, where you have hours and hours of parents and teachers and
Okay.
students testifying only to be overruled without any
Okay.
consideration by the panel.
Thank you,
But
Mr.
that's
Mamdani. I have
called
to move
mayoral
on.
control.
Switching now, question for three of you, switching to students with learning challenges. Parents of students with dyslexia, ADHD, and autism are very well aware the fact that the school system in New York City is not doing enough to meet their children's educational needs. How will you help these parents and students? We know that Mayor Adams has expanded evaluations specifically for children with dyslexia. It was an issue close to his heart, but what would you do more broadly, Mr. Mamdani?
You know, I think some of the initiatives that Mayor Adams has launched, especially with this chancellor, have been showing positive signs, especially for literacy and for preparedness, especially as we're in a national crisis on reading and mathematical comprehension. And I think those are programs that should be furthered, should be invested in, all while also ensuring that we're giving teachers greater flexibility in the curriculum they're actually teaching. Because what I've heard from many of those teachers is that too often the curriculum that's being procured in the $10 billion a year in DOE contracts is one that has little relation to the
Thank you,
classroom.
Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Sliwa, you have 30 seconds.
Yes. We have $41,000 that we're spending on each student now. By fourth grade, 2/3 of these children cannot read, write, or do math at grade level. We should be ashamed of ourselves for that. 100,000 less students than we had last year. 1/3 are truants. We have 200 schools with 200 students or less, and Michael Mulgrew determines which schools stay open. Eric Adams is not exhibiting mayoral control. The mayor should run the Board of Education, the old Board of Education that is now the Department of Education. The bureaucracy.
Time, Mr.
You have 13
Sliwa.
deputy chancellors. You have 50 department
I
heads
had asked
that
about-
suck up all the money.
I was
and
asking
teachers
about
are still
students
reaching
with
into their
learning
pockets
differences.
to pay
We're
for
gonna move on
badly
to
needed
Mr.
supplies
Cuomo.
for the children in the class. The money should be going to the
Mr. Sliwa,
teachers
thank you.
and the
Okay.
children and young adults, and it's not.
Mr. Cuomo, what is your specific plan to deal with the challenges of students who have learning differences?
We are losing young families. When the child becomes of school age, they leave the city, they go to the suburbs, they go to New Jersey. They're not going to sacrifice their child on what they think is the secondary education system. The core competency, reading and math, below 50% is a disgrace. The gifted and talented programs gives people hope. I do believe Mayor Adams has made progress on the evaluations and services for children who require special needs and assistance, but obviously we have to do more.
So we have another question about improving schools. And in the last year, the schools enrolled more than 36,000 migrant students, many learning English for the first time. From class size to bilingual teachers, that puts a big strain in the system. Mr. Cuomo, what can you do to help migrant students, but also the staff? You have 30 seconds.
Well, first, I think it was wrong of the state to put so many migrants in New York City. New York City had the overwhelming majority of migrants,
But they're already here.
close to about 80%. The state should have put them all across the state, Nassau, Suffolk, upstate, so other governments could have also.
Well, they were bused here from Texas,
And
right?
we have a
Yes,
situation
but if
right
they're
now.
bused from Texas, you could have brought some to Nassau, 20 miles,
Yeah, but they're here right now,
Westchester.
and we're asking
Yes.
about the current problem.
Yes, well, that's how the problem was created.
Okay, we understand
The
that.
state put them here, the state gave the city the bill. It has now increased the challenge in our education system. The state is going to have to help financially.
So you didn't answer the question, Mr. Mamdani, is your chance.
You know, when I spoke about our community to classroom program, the importance of it is not just bringing in 1,000 more teachers every year. It's also that we would bring in a number of more bilingual educators. Because what we've heard from a number of adults who have taught in other countries, now live in New York City, is the process by which they get their certification approved to teach here is one that is onerous and one that is actually pricing many of them out. That's why this is a program that will directly address that, to increase that bilingual capacity in our school system so that we can teach every single child, no matter when they got here,
But
the public education
Mr.
they
Mamdani,
deserve.
this certification has been offered and it hasn't been successful. So how can you make more teachers to be, like they want to do this?
Part of what I've heard is that the tuition costs as part of the same certification exams are onerous for many of these adults to switch careers. That's why this program is built upon providing $12,000 in tuition assistance that would lead to $1,000 every year.
And also salaries will be a good.
We have not just migrant children, we have the children of the homeless, over 120,000. We haven't yet discussed charter schools, parochial schools that are closing. Normally, parochial schools would have been able to take some of these children. We need to expand the number of charter schools that are doing an amazing job, especially in the inner cities. And why not make that available to migrant children and to the homeless children who are coming from shelters all across the city, who need the special teaching skills that have lifted children in the charter schools. We need to give choice because that's our most precious resource, our children.
So allow me to move on to the
I
sanctuary.
agree on the charter schools.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. So allow me now to enter into the sanctuary city situation, and let's talk about also undocumented immigrants. 26 Federal Plaza has become a flagship in federal immigration crackdown. We reported that asylum seekers are showing up for like those routine appointments, not facing any criminal challenges, and they end up being deported. So by the show of hands, we would like to know if you believe that any of you could do something to stop this. I need to explain us what.
And I would have an attorney assigned to every person who is undergoing any review by the federal government or any legal proceeding, and put the full weight of the city government behind it, and make sure they are legally protected.
Mr. Sliwa, what's your plan?
Look, going after the criminals, that's the job of Immigration and Naturalization Service, ICE. But when they have to perform under, because I speak to many of the men and women who serve this country, it's putting too much pressure to go out of courthouses, Home Depot, shape-ups, or in the backs of restaurants and hospitality businesses, which have hired these migrants, and they are essential workers now. I can tell you, I have 3 sons. None of them are going to do that work. Some Americans will, but most won't. We need to protect the migrants who are workers, who are essential workers, and use ICE to go after the drug dealers, the gangbangers, the sexual predators, and those who are sex trafficking and involved in narco-terrorism.
Mr. Mamdani.
Now, I'd be proud to be the first immigrant mayor of this city in generations. And it's at 26 Federal Plaza that I've seen what used to be moments when New Yorkers would be getting their citizenship turn into moments of tragedy, where judges are asking New Yorkers who are there for a routine immigration check-in whether they're prepared to leave in the very same clothes that they arrived to that courthouse. I agree that we need more legal representation. I also think we need to actually be able to stand up to Donald Trump, because I heard from Pastor in East Flatbush, Pastor Galbraith, who told me how he accompanied a member of his congregation to 26 Federal Plaza. He sat there as a judge was determining her fate. They managed to convince the judge to replace the deportation order with a TPS order, but they knew that ICE would not care about that change, and they had to sprint her out of the building, smuggling her into the elevator in order to get her back to Brooklyn.
Thank you.
Candidates want to talk about New York City's economy and change the pace a little bit. Everyone supports growing New York City's economy. The mayor is our chief salesman to the business world. So we want to mix it up, test your persuasive power. So we're calling it an elevator pitch. And we'll start with you, Mr. Mamdani. In this scenario, imagine you're talking to the CEO of a big tech company deciding to move its headquarters to New York City or to Dallas. The CEO is concerned New York just raised its corporate taxes and employees will pay more for everything. Look into the camera and make your pitch to that CEO to come here and not there. Do it in 30 seconds.
New York City has something that Dallas or no other city across this country could actually offer. And that is the quality of life. That is the arts and the culture. That is the people that make the city so special. And I, as the mayor of this city, will deliver that quality of life, will deliver the safety that is the cornerstone of an affordability agenda, and will ensure that companies choose to come to this city and also choose to stay in this city. Because so much of what drives the tech sector is a hunger for innovation, a unrepenting desire to actually innovate, and those are the very things that are going to characterize my city government in this.
But what do you say to the CEO about the corporate taxes and also the staggering costs for the workers?
We are going to make this city more affordable so that workers who want to work at those companies can actually be able to do so. And we're going to ensure that this city continues to be one where we see businesses opening and also staying open.
All right, thank you. Sally?
Mr. Cuomo, something of a reverse scenario for you. The CEO of a similar company with 1,000 good jobs tells you she's very close to moving her headquarters out of New York City. She cites everything from taxes to the crushing cost of living for her employees in New York City. How do you convince that CEO to stay? Please look into the camera and make your elevator pitch. You have 30 seconds.
We know that the other companies in New York City.
Cuomo.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The question is to me in this camera?
Yes, the question is how you would convince the CEO of a company with 1,000 good jobs who's out of New York City because of the high cost of living for her employees and taxes, how you would convince her to stay in New York City.
In 15 seconds?
30.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Okay. I get it. I understand your frustration. I understand that the far left has been raising taxes and making businesses feel like the enemy. We get it. That's gone. The DSA, the socialist orientation, we're not socialists. It didn't work in Venezuela, didn't work in Cuba, didn't work here. We know that we have to work with business. We want to be your partner. We want to have taxes that help us grow our city, but are competitive for you.
We're at time.
And we want to partner to grow your business and our
you,
city
Mr.
together.
Thank you.
Mr. Sliwa, let's talk about business, because let's assume the big tech company that we pitched to Mr. Mamdani earlier has decided to move to New York, and it's 1,000 good paying jobs, and the CEO wants to be based in Astoria, Queens. But there's a loud pushback of residents who don't want the noise and the traffic. How can you convince the residents to accept the new neighbor? You're speaking to a very powerful community. How can you convince them?
But we saw that with Amazon. Amazon wanted to come in, and AOC led the charge, and local elected officials to say no to Amazon. That was a big mistake. I would say this. Our company being recruited away by the day. We have young people who are going to school here who could fill their needs in these high-tech industries who also are being lured away. We need to cut their income taxes for 5 years. Tell them if you go to school here, graduate here, no income taxes for 5 years. It's an income tax holiday. And the most important thing, we have to be able to assure the executives that this will be a city where we don't lock up toothpaste any longer, but lock up the criminals who make it intolerable to have a good quality of life.
Thank you.
We need to move on to a subject
that
that
was
is.
the Democratic Socialists of America that stopped Amazon and cost us 25,000 jobs. So
Thank
it's
you,
real
Mr.
life.
Cuomo. We need to move on to a crisis that is very important to a lot of voters, and that is people struggling with mental health problems. Roughly 500 times a day, someone calls 911 about an emotionally disturbed person. And in a limited number of those cases, when the person is not believed to be violent, social workers are dispatched instead of police. Mr. Mamdani, you want to do that on a much larger scale. So we want to know, how will this work? When will you send police versus social workers? You have 1 minute.
You know, we have a program here in New York City called Be Heard that is attempting to do this kind of work. But we've had a mayor who has ensured that it's been unsuccessful, to the extent that even when there was an assessment of about 60% of calls that could have been addressed by Be Heard instead of the NYPD, Be Heard was not actually responsive to it. And that's because we haven't had the political will to deliver on what is a crisis that affects so many New Yorkers, which is the mental health crisis. What my plan will do, an innovative plan of the Department of Community Safety, will take what has worked elsewhere in the country, a program in Eugene, Oregon, where they took 24,000 911 mental health calls out of the police department. they were able to respond to all but 311 without police assistance. When they're concerned for safety or of violence, absolutely, you would have the police there. But what we are doing today is actually ensuring that every single call is going to the police and not allowing them to do the work that they signed up to do.
How will you determine whether there is a concern for safety or violence? What is the line between the calls in which police will be dispatched and the calls to which social workers will be dispatched?
The line is also going to be one focused on violence and the threat of violence. And I also trust the operators who will be receiving those calls to make that determination, as they do every day today for so many emergency services.
And just two really quick points, please. There has been a lot of discussion that you would send social workers to domestic violence calls, which police are concerned about. So you're saying no, okay. And then the other question is, how can you be sure that a situation that does not sound violent when someone calls 911 and does not become violent in the moment? Would police be assigned as backup?
I think what you do is you actually follow the experts that have shown us this can work when you're willing to ensure that you're trusting the mental health experts who have been doing this work elsewhere in the country, where they call for the police when they need the police, but their initial impulse when there's no violence in that call is to actually address the mental health at the heart of it.
Mr. Siwa, you have encountered plenty of these situations in your decades of work with the Guardian Angels. So do you see this approach working? You're not a police officer, but you've helped out in situations.
So, Ron, boy, another fantasy that's not reality. Eugene, Oregon. Have you ever been to Eugene? I've been to Eugene. Come on, this is New York City. We have so many emotionally disturbed persons that are in need of help. I will tell you this. Andrew, you closed the mental health beds that were taking care of them. 40,000 when you came into office, down to 4,000 because of your cuts, which forced these people to live in the streets, in the parks, and the subways. These people need to be removed. They need mental health care. We need to make our shelters safe. I've been in 1/3 of the 300 shelters run by the Department of Homeless Services. It's Darwinian there, survival of the fittest. If we can make our shelter system safe, we can get men and women who are homeless in there, especially veterans who we're not giving any attention to, who we put out in Ward's Island at 10 o'clock at night, release during the day, don't give any training, have them roam about, and obviously, when you have nothing to do, you end up getting into trouble.
Okay.
This is a disastrous, homeless, and emotionally disturbed plan that we have in New York City. And I'm the mayor that can change it because I deal with them every day in the streets, in the parks, and the subways.
Okay, Mr. Cuomo, do you think that the NYPD handles these calls for emotionally disturbed people in distress well? Is there room for something in the middle?
Yeah, I think the Assemblyman deals in theory. There's an advantage when you actually have experience. I've run homeless programs. I ran the homeless programs for the federal government. I worked with cities all across the nation. When you get a call on a telephone about a mentally ill person who may be violent, it is a very dangerous situation. And I think you should have a mental health worker accompanied with a police officer, because these can be explosive situations. I have been in situations that seem apparently calm and fine, and then erupted into violence very quickly and got very dangerous very quickly. So have a worker with a police officer and get the people off the streets. That's the humane thing, and get them the care they need. Not institutionalize 40,000 people again. We have supportive housing now, which is what we use, and forensic beds for people who need them.
Now, let me get this straight. A police officer is there first. He has to wait for the arrival of a mental health care worker.
No, I would send them as a team.
As a team. But that's not realistic. You're dealing with fantasy also.
All right.
The police officers are going to be the first one on the scene, and they're always going to have to deal with it first and foremost.
Mr. Cuomo says that he has experience running homeless programs. What he has experience doing is cutting funding for the very programs that prevented homelessness here in New York City. As the governor, he cut funding for the Advantage program, which was putting New Yorkers who had otherwise been in shelters, otherwise been homeless, into apartments. I met one of those New Yorkers, and she told me how that pushed her out on the street.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Brief response, Mr. Cuomo.
He's talking about a program 14 years ago. That was a pilot program that had a work requirement. It was very controversial. The Advantage program. It was 14 years ago, 65 million. I added billions to the homeless budget. Funded the homeless budget larger than any governor in history.
Okay.
He
okay,
cut
thank
that
you. We want to talk
program.
about.
He
all right.
cut that
Mr.
program.
Mamdani, we have
Homelessness
aired this-
skyrocketed
Mr.
after doing
Mamdani,
It
we
did
have
not.
aired
It
this
was 14 years ago.
All right.
It was during the Bloomberg administration. And yes, okay.
Okay. I want to ask you about climate. Next, Mayor's Local Law 97. Passed in 2019. The law requires large buildings to gradually reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. That may require very expensive upgrades to buildings, which some landlords and co-op owners say they just simply can't afford. We're wondering how each of you would enforce the law. You have 30 seconds. Mr. Cuomo.
Local Law 97, I support. Implementing the law is going to be the key because it has to be done in a way that isn't so disruptive to businesses and residences that they just give up and pay the fine and don't even try to comply, which is what is going to happen now. It will be cheaper for them to pay the fine than comply, and obviously will accomplish nothing. So yes, I support the law. Yes, we have to implement it, but we have to implement it in a way that is feasible.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. Mr. Sliwa?
Local 97 will destroy those people who have invested in co-ops and condos. There's 100,000. It's forcing them to electrify. Now, you, Andrew Cuomo, took Indian Point offline, 25% of our electrical capacity with no replacement, which has caused skyrocketing electricity bills. And now we're going to force condo and co-op owners to electrify. Maintenance fees will go up 30%. These people will be leaving their condos and co-ops. They need relief. When I'm mayor, I slow that process down. We need our co-op owners and condo owners to stay here in New York City and not flee.
Indian Point, yeah. Indian Point was started before me. It was a very dangerous situation. We have nuclear facilities upstate, and my proposal on what I did is run cables from the nuclear facilities upstate to bring the power to downstate. Indian Point had 20 million people in the kill zone.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. Mr. Mamdani, Local Law 97, how would you enforce the law as mayor?
I support the law, and I would also make it easier for condo and co-op owners to comply with the law, because what I've heard from so many is that it's cheaper to pay the fine than to actually get into compliance. And I think the city has a role here in procurement at a large scale of so much of what is necessary in these infrastructure investments. We've seen it be done in the Clean Energy Challenge within NYCHA. It's time to do it right here in New York City to assist those condo and co-op owners in meeting the standards we desperately need to hit.
Okay, gentlemen, New York City loves its parades, and the mayor is often front and center. You have also said you want to be mayor for all New Yorkers. So, in all the parades that mayors have, or are there any that you would boycott? Mr. Sliwa?
I think a mayor has a responsibility, whenever possible, to march in parades, to celebrate whatever that parade is performing as. I've been a Grand Marshal of the Pulaski Day Parade. I was proud to celebrate
Are there
my
any that you
Polish
would
heritage.
boycott, though? I just need to move this along.
Excuse me?
Would you boycott any of the city's parades?
No, I would not boycott any parades.
Mr.
It's the mayor's
Cuomo, would you
responsibility
boycott?
to be available to all racial,
No,
ethnic,
I
and
wouldn't.
religious groups.
No, I wouldn't unless they discriminated.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
There are many parades that I would not be attending because I'd be focusing on the work of leading this city.
Which parades would
A
you
number
not
of
be
them.
going?
I've already missed a number of those parades because I've been
Well,
trying
could you
to
tell us?
speak
Yeah,
to as
with
many
our
New Yorkers
audience
as
here.
possible.
Okay.
I don't have the list of all the parades I've missed.
Wow, that's a
All right.
lot.
Are there-
The mayor
let me
should
ask
be
you
going to
this.
all parades.
Let me ask you this. Are there any parades that don't exist that you think should? Mr. Mamdani?
I haven't thought much about parades, to be honest with you.
Mr. Cuomo?
I have not thought. I don't even know what parade doesn't exist, frankly.
Could be for anything. Mr. Sliwa?
Every parade has the right to exist in New York City. I would ask
David?
you,
Thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
Mondani,
Okay. Thank
would
you.
you protect the Christopher Columbus statues that exist here in the city?
I'm telling you, my focus is on affordability. I'm not thinking about
Well, you're not
statues.
answering the
All right.
question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
He
You're
gave,
not answering
he
the question.
gave the finger to the Columbus Day
Okay,
statue.
that issue's come up
That's what we
earlier
call
in
it,
the debate. All right, candidate,
disgraziado.
Listen, we're in the last couple of minutes, and we thought
What
we'd
that
have
means?
some questions. We thought we'd have some questions that maybe give a glimpse into your life, your personality away from the podium. What's your go-to breakfast order at the bodega? Liwa?
Oh, eggs and cheese on a roll. No salt, please.
Mr. Cuomo?
Same thing, no salt also.
Mr. Mamdani?
Egg and cheese on a roll with jalapenos.
Yum.
Have you ever purchased anything in a cannabis shop? And if so, what did Mr. Mundai?
Marijuana at illegal cannabis.
Okay. Mr. Cuomo?
No.
Mr. Sliwa?
When I was shot 5 times, I've had Crohn's disease. I did use medical marijuana. Yes.
Okay. To the World Series on the same night as the Knicks are playing Game 7B. Mr. Sliwa?
Which baseball team?
This is the Mets. Knicks Game 7. Even
I'm not going to the Mets game. I'm a Yankee fan. True baseball fans either like one or the other. I'm going to the Knicks game. That's my team, the Knicks.
Ms. Cuomo?
I'm going to go half and half. I can make it back and forth.
All right. And Mr. Mamdani?
This is what New Yorkers are sick of. Just pick a team.
What's
Come on.
your answer?
I'd be there for the Knicks.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of ground covered. We'll leave it on that light note. Thank you, candidates, for a spirited debate. We thank you as well. We hope you got a lot out of it. New York City viewers, New York City voters. The New York City Campaign Finance Board, we thank heartily, and we urge you to check out their website, nycvotes.org. From all of us here, we certainly thank you for watching, and remember, vote on Tuesday, November 4th. Good night.
Okay, well, that was quite a debate. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I wasn't going to do much commentary tonight because I missed the first part of the debate, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me put the comments up here. Having some connectivity issues. I do not know why. Hopefully we could get those fixed, but if they continue, I'm not going to stay on too long. All right, so let me just go through the comments now. Let me fix my screen here. There we go. All right, let me do this one. There we go. Okay. All right, so fix my camera. All right. So I'm just going to put your comments on the screen, and let's talk about them. All right, someone give me a thumbs up. Make sure my sound is good. I've been running around today, so all right. So Zip Reaper says good show. Mondani, socialist communists will lose. I hope so. Now I do want. That's a good point you bring up. A lot of people. He's scheduled to win, and I just want to say this. And I put out this tweet today. I live part-time in Brooklyn, which is like half the time. And I walk around everywhere, okay? And then I go up to Midtown, Uptown, Downtown, and then down to Brooklyn. I will say this. There is no ground game for Cuomo, and there's no ground game for Sliwa. I could never pronounce his name. But there's Mondami crap everywhere, and there's communist crap everywhere. And the problem is that there's a real disconnect, I think, on the Republican side. You don't see anyone campaigning, knocking down doors, except for the Donald J. Trump Republican Club in Brooklyn, led by Jimmy Wagner. They're doing a great job trying to get council seats, which is important because New York always swings to the left. But you can't get those council seats because those are done by borough. And Brooklyn, where I live, is mainly working class. A lot of first and second generation, people mainly in my neighborhood are from the islands. They're not interested in Mondami at all. So I think you're right that he could lose. I don't think Mondami looked that good tonight. He did not appear to be a New Yorker. And I think that's a key thing that I caught from what I saw of this debate tonight is, Sliwa and Cuomo, they really sound like New Yorkers, okay? Whereas Mondami, he sounds like what most Democrats are, people who are not from an area that come in from out of town and run for office. He seemed like a tourist to me. So that's really good. Mamdani has been trying his hardest to be seen on camera, riding the subway and all that. He actually uses crowds on demand to make his rallies bigger, to have people approach him on the street. That's actually not organic a lot of times. Now it probably is because he has more recognition. But Mamdani, he just does not seem like a New Yorker. And that's really, really big in New York City. If you've just gone to New York City as a tourist and you've never lived there, or you've never been to New York City, it might just seem like another city to you. But New York City is a really kind of unique kind of animal, okay? And people, it's kind of like my family, right? So my family's got all sorts of problems. Don't get me wrong. My core family. We will fight all the time growing up. It's nine kids, 7 boys, 2 girls. We hate each other half the time. But we don't want anyone from the outside of the family to come in and mess with us because we used to all pounce on that person. And it's still the same today. If I had a problem, I could call any of my brothers. Some I haven't talked to in years, and they would be here with a baseball bat. New York's a lot like that. The problem with New York is that since Biden, and even before Biden, the Democrats have been flooding the city with outsiders. And those outsiders gravitate towards Mamdani because they connect with him, all right? And he understands that the more content you have out there, the better you're going to do. Like this show here could be a lot bigger, but I tend to only do content when I have something to say because I'm an investigator and I don't want to just be a talking head. But if I'm on every day just saying anything I want, following the latest trend and saying everything you guys want to hear, yeah, I probably have a bigger audience. But the point is, Mamdani understands that, and he's got a really, really big machine behind him. Keep in mind that Mamdani has the same machine behind him that, has fueled No Kings, that has fueled Ruth Sent Us, that has fueled BLM. It's all the same. And if you look at your local elections, look at the Democratic candidates' flyers that they put on your door and everything. I'll pop out and grab it from the kitchen in a second. It's all the same lettering. It's one big machine. They could run anyone. Okay, we saw this with Kamala Harris. Mamdani happens to be their guy. Mamdani also understands, he says the key words, like the egg and cheese with jalapenos. What? Is he kidding me? You know why he said that. He's appealing to the Hispanic voters. The Hispanic voters in my neighborhood and most neighborhoods like the Bronx and Queens, Brooklyn, they're not going to buy that shit. Okay, plain and simple. They see right through it. But the problem is with New York is that not enough people go out to vote. Republicans or people down the center, they just figure it's going to go Democrat anyway, so they don't go out to vote. Another problem in New York is that it's kind of hard to get around. So if you don't mail in your vote, sometimes it's hard to get to a voting station. The line's too long. A lot of people have 3-4 jobs. It's expensive to live in New York. Okay, so a lot of people don't vote. The other problem in New York, and I think this is for all the parties, they all ignore the working class millennials. Okay? Now, the problem the Republicans have in New York is they don't know how to talk to people in different boroughs. I had Dexter Taylor on the other night. He's currently serving a 10-year sentence in Coxsackie Prison for legally assembling firearms in Brooklyn. Had all his qualifications, ATF, all that. He's still got, the SWAT team came, arrested him. It was a big to-do. He's appealing the case, of course. We're trying to feature him as much as we can here. But he's got some really good, interesting things to say about how Republicans just don't get it in New York. The New York Republicans do, like people like the Donald J. Trump Republicans Club. They get it because they live there. But a lot of Republicans, they don't know how to talk to different types of people. And the thing about New York is it's not one unified city. It's like a million boroughs. Not a million, but a lot. And each one is different. If you walk 8 blocks, you see the changes. You know when you're in this neighborhood or that neighborhood, you just know. Okay, and they're very community organized. The other thing about New York, I think people should understand if you're not that familiar with New York City, is things like affordable busing is a really important thing. Okay, it doesn't make you a communist if you're a Republican and you say we need to have more affordable community housing or more affordable public transportation. You have to address those things in New York, because even if you can afford a car in New York City, it's very expensive just to park. Let me give you an example. Brooklyn is a lot cheaper for things like parking than the West Village, where I used to live was. West Village is like lower Manhattan over near NYU. But even so, when I park my car in just a normal, not too fancy garage, the same one I use when I'm only staying for the night, it's $60 a day. 60 a day. If you want to have parking at your apartment, that is like, you might as well get a second mortgage to pay for that. It's very expensive. If you park on the street, it's expensive. I used to spend probably $20 a day on the meter, and I would have to move my car around at different times because of street sweeping and everything. So just keep that in mind. When you hear people running on things like affordable busing and public transportation, those things are very important. Let me go to the comments. I got some thoughts on that. I kind of come up with my thoughts as I talk, and as I read your comments, so let's do more. I like GIJ. I like the optimism. Cuomo will win. Look, I don't like Cuomo at all. I think he is evil like the devil, but honestly, he's the devil we know. And I think he'll be far better than Mondami, and I'll tell you why. This might not be popular with people. Cuomo's been part of the system. His whole family has been. He understands that the money that has made people wealthy through capitalism, okay, is how he makes his money. So he's going to totally coddle those people. Okay? He's, in my opinion, corrupt. I think he's like guilty of eldercide, honestly. If you remember the 2020 where he was putting all the COVID people in nursing homes. I mean, don't get me started on whether or not I believe in the viability of COVID, but the point is a lot of elderly people died on his watch. Okay, and that's a real problem. So he's corrupt, but again, God, I hate to say this, he's the devil we know. And, Sliwa, I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to try something new. I don't like Sliwa's stance on gun control, not at all. But again, that's kind of a New York City thing where a lot of people are going to run on gun control just because of skyrocketing crime. So we'll wait and see. All right, and then GIJ says the socialist will lose. Let's hope so. GIJ, I would say, and by the way, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. I would say this, GIJ, and sorry about my lighting. I got all sorts of stuff going on here, but that's all right. There's a lot of socialists in New York. They don't even realize they're socialists. It's like the Sixth Sense, If I was that little kid under the covers, I'd be like, I see socialists everywhere. They don't even know they're socialists. So, I don't know, man. I've actually had debates with people, like younger people in New York, who they're like, you don't like socialism? I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. All right, so Human Being, thanks for your comments, GIJ. Human Being says, so glad I left NYC. Hey, Human Being, I'm with you, man. I don't love NYC at all. I don't like New York City. My wife loves New York City, so of course, happy wife, happy life. But she has to drag me kicking and screaming every time I go there. I'm currently in Massachusetts right now, which I like about as much, but I'm not like in the city, so it's a little better. Personally, I like that place in upstate New York over in Hudson Valley that most of my videos come from, where I have bears stealing my garbage and I have 15 different kinds of birds, welcoming me every morning to the next day. So I like the woods. I've lived in many, many places. I was in the military for 11 years, so I moved around a lot, but I've lived in 27 states. And I can say I used to dream of moving to the big city when I grew up in Maine, which is very sleepy. And then I got to the city, D.C., whether it was D.C. or near Atlanta near Seattle. I mean, I've lived in them all. New York, I spent a lot of time in, and D.C., I spent a lot of time in Baltimore. And I liked it at the time, but honestly, the way things have gone now, it's just so taxing. I mean, Brooklyn I like better than Manhattan, but it's just so goddamn dirty all the time. It's disgusting. And it's expensive. It's so expensive to do anything. So hopefully that will change. It's a city, though, so I don't know how it can. But, my wife loves this, so that's why I'm there. And look, here's where I stand on New York City, or all of our cities. A lot of people will say, oh, just, let them burn in it or let it fall off the planet because they voted for this, now they got to deal with it. No, man, New York City, we all got to deal with it. That's our financial capital. Do we really want to give one of the most powerful cities in the world over to the Marxists or the socialists, whatever you want to call them? I don't even know what Mondami. I don't even think he's a real socialist. I think there's a real estate play there, but we could talk about that later. So human being, I'm with you. I'm glad every time I leave New York. But I will say this. It is a all-day affair just to get out of New York. When I drive from Brooklyn to Massachusetts, holy moly, that's a whole day. Okay, and just getting out of the city is most of the day. It takes forever, as you know. So good to see you. Thanks for coming on. All right, who is this here? We got Green Ghost. I like the way he directly answers. Hey, Green Ghost, who do you like? Who are you talking about? Just so I know, because if you're talking about Sliwa, yes. Cuomo, I think he did good too. But Mondami, he's just such a salesman. And again, I don't even think the guy's a real socialist. I think he's there to drive real estate prices down because a lot of people are already fleeing the city. Watch, there's going to be a big real estate grab. Guarantee it, even if he doesn't win. All right, what do we got here? We got Green Ghost again. Green Ghost says, I'm from New Orleans and our debate was not this entertaining. Am I a nerd or is politics getting more theatric and entertaining? Most of them are more famous than movie and pop stars. Yeah, that's a problem. I hear you and I agree. Getting theatric, it is theatric. Like it is. Like I remember a long time ago, my son's mother is Greek. They're all from Sparta. And they used to watch, it was Helen TV or Hella TV, whatever it is. And you'd see these school board meetings where people are getting into fistfights, man. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm glad our politics ain't like that. But now it is. It's almost there, and it's so entertaining. But, God, it's like watching, Fright Night every time you turn on politics. As far as being famous, when I lived in D.C., there was a saying about Washington, D.C., regarding politicians. They used to call it Hollywood for ugly people. I agree. So, though I must say, a lot of the people on the Republican Party, I would say, are better looking than pretty much all the people on the Democrat Party. I won't go into that. I don't want to disrespect my wife. She's the only woman I see. But I will say that they seem a lot healthier and happier. I'll just put it that way. Most of them, not the rhinos, but the actual, America First people. Okay, Cuomo is not communist. No, I didn't say he was communist. He's not communist at all. He's opportunist. he's a typical corrupt mayor. But again, he's, in my opinion, I think he's the devil. But he's the devil we know. I'd like to see Curtis win, but I think Cuomo has a better chance. So let's go. Cuomo says Baby Joker 21, which is oh, by the way, Debbie, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Baby Joker 21. Okay, Baby Joker, there's got to be a story behind that. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to say who I support because I'm not voting in New York City, so I don't want to influence that anyway. I mean, I can only vote. I guess I could vote in Boston. I don't know. I got to check. No, because I have a New York license. So, I just don't want to say. I'm not sure who I'm voting for. That's why I don't want to say it. We'll see. But Baby Joker, let's go Cuomo. You know what? If it's a choice between Cuomo and Mondani, and I hate his name, man. Then yeah, Cuomo definitely. All right, thanks for joining us, Baby Joker. And by the way, throw it in the comments. Would love to know the story behind that name. That's a great name. If Cuomo wins, Trump is going to drain New York. Please don't let him win. Trump is going to drain New York. What do you mean by that, Green Ghost? I don't know what you mean. If you're talking about draining the swamp, good. I'm a big Trump supporter. Let me just put that out there. But I will listen to anyone's view. But if Cuomo wins, Trump is going to drain New York. Please don't let him. Yeah, just let me know what you mean by that. I'll come back to your comments. So I'll look for your follow-up, if you would, Green Ghost, if you're still here. Cuomo. Okay, Debbie's for Cuomo. Politics Today, Rose Victorious. Another great name. Welcome to the show, Rose. Politics Today reminds me of those old soap operas. I'd love to know what you mean by that. Which old soap operas? Politics Today reminds me of The Purge, to be quite honest with you. It's like if you made a movie about The Purge and... trying to think of a good one. If you combine the movies The Purge and maybe... what's the show on Apple where they lose their memories when they go into TV, into work? That's what it reminds me of. Yeah. We'll get back to that. I'm trying to combine a few thoughts here. All right, Mondani hates everyone who is not Muslim. I totally agree with you, Debbie. And you should see, by the way, I have Debbie, and if you give me a nudge via email or at my X, and let me throw my X. Yeah, there it is on the bottom, scrolling at Brian O'Shea, SPI. Give me a nudge. I will post the video of his father at the Columbia rally. The guy's a total terrorist sympathizer, and so is Mamdani. He still has not given any opinion about Hamas at all. And I just put up earlier in the banner, that was quoted just yesterday. Bloomberg, who's not exactly a bastion of right-wing sentiment, there it is. This is yesterday, okay? He just won't take a stance on it. That should tell you everything you need to know. And by the way, my comments do not reflect the comments. No one told me to say this. I got to remind you of Daily Clout, who platforms this show. These are my opinions. Okay, so we have lots of contributors. I'm not speaking for them. I'm speaking for me. I am totally 100% against Mamdani and all Democrats. I used to vote on the issues. In the last 4 years, I've changed that completely. I am against anyone who's a Democrat. And honestly, I'm against anyone who's a rhino too. But if I have to choose between a rhino and a Democrat, I'm going with the rhino. I don't like them either. I think they're just as dangerous. But you know what? They're a little more controllable. I don't want any... I want the Democratic Party to be thrown in the trash bin of history. Let there be a new party, maybe a new Democratic Party, but this one is too sick. It's too infected with evil, greed, graft, murderous intent. And I mean that. I think they're just shy of being a terrorist organization, and I don't think it's savable. I think the Democratic Party needs to be disbanded, thrown, I don't know what they call that, and maybe a new one will rise. I believe in a multi-party system because I certainly don't want one party ruling any country, and we've seen the disaster that can become. So, all right, back to the comments. Good to see everyone, by the way. It was not going, actually, me and Bill, Bill Stebbins, who's a retired lieutenant colonel, he's also my chief of staff over at my nonprofit. We were going to go on today and talk about our adventures over at Blue Sky, which are pretty interesting. We're going to have to do that tomorrow or over the weekend because I forgot this debate was on. So, Sliwa, there we go. All right. Here we go. Cuomo. Politics Today. Okay, Green Ghost. So Green Ghost says Rose is right. I go through all the emotions watching it. LOL. Yeah, I do too. I look, I mean, Cuomo and Sliwa, I'll say it again. They seem like real New Yorkers to me. Mamdani seems like a usurper. I don't know, subversionist. Who knows? All right, here is Scotty with some bad news. NYC is doomed. I don't know, man. I mean, NYC has been through a lot of crap, and it's always had, piles of political corruption back to the Tammany Hall days. I don't know if it is or not. I think, look, here's the thing that, and I'm not, dismissing what you're saying, Scotty. I feel that way too. I feel like taking the black pill and saying the whole country is doomed. But I will say this, one thing that's great about this country and the cities in it, especially New York City, it's not like it's one entity that someone can just become the mayor and think they control it. The mayors barely control the city. Okay? New York City, I wouldn't say, and I'm speaking as a semi-New Yorker, being that I spend half the time in New York City. They have a way of like protecting their communities from almost anything. They have a way of getting around things, which leads to corruption a lot of times. But I will say, if Mamdani wins, okay, and thinks he's going to have an iron grip over New York City, he hasn't spent enough time in New York City. He's going to have nothing but revolt. And they don't revolt in the typical way. They're not out there with signs and chanting. And no. They start doing things like tax evasion and strikes and mysterious fires for insurance payouts. I'm not knocking on New Yorkers. I'm, again, one of them. My dad was born, raised in the Bronx, but this is how it goes. It's New York City. And I don't think there's ever been a mayor that had complete control over New York City. I think it's impossible. So New York City always seems to find a way, but I'm not going to rely on that. We need to constantly put on the pressure. And I will say that, please, support those people who are running for those council seats in the different boroughs. Even if you're not from New York City, if you're a podcaster or you have a Twitter account or whatever, I'll put up the link here, but, push out their message. There's a lot of people running at these council levels, and these are the important levels because nothing is happening if you don't have the buy-in of the borough councils, and that's so important about New York. So, please support them. Don't write off New York City at all, okay, because why would we give it away? But I hear you, man. Scotty, you know what? Just try to find something to fight for, whether it's your city, New York City, but, never, ever give up. I'm not saying you are, but I don't think it's doomed. I think it's New York City, so we'll find a way. But thanks for being here, Scott. I appreciate your comment. Rose Victorious, good thumbs up. There we go. And I like the way you guys all communicate with each other. All right. It's going to take a miracle from God to prevent Mamdani from becoming mayor of NYC. Well, Crystal Bluebird, and welcome. Don't totally buy into that because I worked in the intel community for a long time. I was allegedly, can't confirm or deny, one of the best people at very large propaganda type of operations against other countries during the War on Terror. And I'll say one of the major tricks that you employ in propaganda is letting the enemy think they've already lost because then they give up. So really look at the numbers. Look at how many people voted in the primaries. It was a fraction of New Yorkers. It's a fraction of New Yorkers. And so just keep that in mind. Now, that's not to say it's not dangerous. People have to go out and vote. They have to. But again, call your Republican congresspeople in any state you're in. The New York candidates, especially at the council level, they need help, and they're not getting it from the RNC. For some reason, they're not getting their phone calls returned. It's like they're fighting on their own in New York City. And my buddy Jimmy Wagner will tell you this himself, and he's running a lot of candidates, and he's doing a great job. Athena Clark over in our area is running right now, and she's great, but there's all this money for the RNC. Well, they need to help these New York City candidates. Okay, they have to, and they're not. One person at a party my wife and I hosted for Miss Clark was telling me, one of our guests was telling me, like, and this person works at, with the candidates as well. They can't get calls back from the New York Young Republicans. They just ignore them. So I don't know what's going on, but they need to step it up, and we need to put some pressure on the national Republican apparatus to help, even in the blue cities, to help the Republican candidates. Otherwise, we're stuck with this. Okay. Bluebird, welcome, by the way. It's going to take a miracle from God. I don't know. We'll talk about that. I've got some theories. Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure if it's going to take a miracle from God. I believe only God can make miracles, but that's beside the point. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's not looking good. I'll agree with you. The numbers are in Mom Dominy's favor, but again, what's the sampling? Like, YouGov, for instance, did a poll showing this like sweeping victory from Mom Domi. But who are they interviewing? Are they interviewing illegal aliens? Probably. Are they interviewing staff? Likely. You got to really go into when you look at the polls, don't just look at the polls. Go to the polling website. You can actually get their samples, their questions, who they talked to, where those people were. Very, very revealing. But the goal of those type of polls is to get you to think it's over, give up, why vote anyways? Don't buy into it. Okay. If you live in New York, please vote and get everyone you can to. No matter who you vote for, it's your right. Well, I agree, but if I rent a van and I'm gonna ask people who they're voting for, if they say Mom Domi, I'm gonna be like, find another ride. But yes, I agree, it's your right to vote. But I'm not gonna help any Mom Domi voters, not at all, not in a heart ever. I don't think you could give these people an inch. I have no empathy for them or their voters. They are the enemy, plain and simple. This man is literally the same version of the mayor in London. It's obviously a global thing. Look at London right now. It's the same pattern New York is falling into, and we have to fight it. And I think we got to fight it at the council and the ground level and work our way up. So yes, everyone should vote, but again, if I rent a van to get voters there, if they tell me they're voting for Mondami and we get the hell off, that's just how I am. You get the government you deserve. Maybe Mondami will be what it takes for them to learn a good lesson. Yeah, John, hey, welcome to the show. Look, I'm going to say this, man. We all know the 2020 election was stolen. Okay? Now, this is not what real New Yorkers deserve because this is not what they voted for. But think about what happened in New York. It was packed with illegals, and in New York, anyone can get a license. So it's really not what a lot of New Yorkers voted for, and it's certainly not what they deserve. So we've got to abandon that feeling of it's New York. It's it sucks to be them. New Yorkers, real New Yorkers, are Americans, not illegal aliens. And they're our fellow Americans. So whatever we can do, okay, but saying let them get Mondami, then they'll learn. What are they going to learn? If someone like Mondami gets in, we may never get that city back. Then the whole country is screwed, trust me. So I hear you, and I understand that sentiment. I really do. And I empathize with you. But you cannot think of New York as some disconnected territory that decided to go with the South or something like that. It's not like that. I'm hard pressed to find anyone who voted for Biden in the entire city. Okay. Sorry, my some journalist from. Well, JP, if you're listening to this right now, I just got your text. We'll talk. He's embedded in Ukraine, so he's getting some interesting stuff he's learning. All right. Curtis Sliwa, yes. And by the way, Marzald, stick around. I was actually at an event for Athena Clark, and Sliwa showed up. My wife, Naomi Wolf, loves Sliwa. She thinks he's great. So definitely, I'm with you. I mean, look, I'm voting for Sliwa. I'll just say it. I said earlier wasn't sure, but yeah, I'm not voting for Cuomo. The guy, no. It's got to be Sliwa. I don't like his stance on gun control, but we can work with that. I'm in New Orleans, a red state, and watching everyone who chose to lose. I'm sorry, I'll read the bigger font. I'm in New Orleans, a red state, and watching everyone who chose not to lose everything. They work for us. They do work for us. Never forget that. Absolutely. I like you, Green Ghost. Lots of good commentary from Green Ghost. Vote Sliwa if you love the Big Apple. Absolutely, Marzald. I'm with you on that one. I'll play that speech he gave. It's on my cell phone, but hopefully it'll come through. Sliwa truly loves New York City. Totally agree with you. And he's been trying to protect the city for a long time. I don't know if you saw my tile that I made quickly before the show, but I think this says it all. These are your choices. Okay? These are your choices for New York. The Marxist, the Guardian, and the Killer. That's how I feel. Okay, so there's where we're at. I think I might just leave it. No, I'll take that down. So there we go. All right. So this moderator is not good. Hey, Gerald Fonseca, I agree. I don't think the moderators are ever good. They're all from the left. Okay. Mondami would not be going to the Israel parade for sure. Yeah, Crystal, it's funny you say that because I'm like, here's this guy. He's like, well, I'm going to be busy running the city. I won't have time. Yeah, but he's in the middle of a mayoral campaign, and he makes time to go and get into all these pro-Hamas rallies. Makes time for that. You're right. I don't see him going up to Crown Heights anytime soon to, as a guest at Chabad. I just don't see that happening. Okay? And if he gets elected, he won't, because why should he? He doesn't care. Okay? That guy is a total danger. But I will say this. I was at Crown Heights Chabad. I'm not Jewish. My wife is. And I love Chabad, by the way. It's awesome. I actually like Shabbat, too. I think shutting off your devices for 24 hours is a good thing. You actually have conversations. But I will say this. I was talking to several of the rabbis there, and they're, Crown Heights is like the biggest Chabad, and there's a lot of money there in terms of it's a huge community. And I said, hey, are you guys doing anything to stop this? And they said, yeah, we've been doing this. I said, well, I'm not seeing it. You guys, you're in prime real estate, and this guy hates you. You got to do more, because I'm not seeing anything that you're doing. They agreed. They're like, okay, so hopefully, something happens there, but we'll see. Crystal Bluebird, welcome, by the way. Yeah, he definitely won't be going to any Jewish parades for sure. Hell, I don't even think I'll go to any of the St. Patrick's Day parades. He'll probably give St. Patrick the middle finger, too, like he did to Columbus. Mainstream media's coverage of this debate has no public input. Progressive news includes public input. In the chat, we recognize gaslighting, conflation, and projection advanced by establishment Dems. Whew, that is a mouthful, but well said, John Camely. And look, let's be fair, okay? I'm making it clear that these are my opinions, okay? Doesn't mean I'm right, but you have to be careful with the far right as well as the far left or the legacy media, because the right is falling into this trap. The far right is falling into this trap of stating opinions as if they're facts, and that's a dangerous thing, especially when you have a big audience. And I always tell people, I'm like, look, I don't care if you like so-and-so on Rumble or so-and-so on Real America's Voice. If they're saying certain things that just aren't right, they're just not right. So I always say, look, love your influencers, but always hold your influencers to task if they say something. For example, I hold everyone to task when they're like, when Mangione killed the United Healthcare CEO, he did that because he's a domestic terrorist from the left. The guy hasn't had a trial yet. Where's the presumption of innocence? The guy's never uttered anything anti-left or anti-right. And I always say, he's not been tried yet. Why are you saying he's guilty? Like, you might have your feelings, but they're not supported by the facts. And so that's why I've been calling the right-wing influencers out about is that particular case, because I did a deep investigation on it. Based on my investigation, I'm pretty sure that guy wasn't even in New York in December of 2024. Another case. But the point is, investigate everything. I'm not plugging my show name, but that's why I call it this. Because people say things that are wrong sometime. And look, I got to give credit to Dr. Drew Pinsky. He's a friend of mine. I've been on his show a few times. We've had dinner. I love those guys. Me and my wife love hanging out with the Pinskys. They're awesome. But I heard him one time talking about the Mangione case. And when Mangione murdered the United... And I texted him. I said, what are you doing? You know, where's the presumption of innocence? And to his credit, he you know, texted back and said, you know, you're right. I'm sorry. We can't be doing that. So left and right influencers, anyone that is telling you to think a certain way, if they can't answer why they want you to think a certain way or can't produce some citations and some hard facts, run away from them. They're trying to sell you something. Okay, let me see. Sliwa. Okay, Marzal, we got it. I'm with you, Sliwa, but I'll still put your comments up. And by the way, I put everyone's comments up, even if they're really insulting. I won't put up any comments that have like really, really derogatory racial terms or stuff. I just won't do that. But I started listening to Viva Fry, which I don't agree with everything he says, but I really like him. I love the energy, and I love his attention to detail. And he literally reads every comment, and I think that's great. And sometimes people will put their advertisements up in his comments, and he reads those anyways. I think it's really cool. So I'll always read your comments. It's a clown show. Liberty Ninja, great name. Welcome to the show. Yeah, it seemed like a clown show, doesn't it? Big time clown show. Like, yeah, I mean, it's not no offense to Sliwa, but it'd be nice to have more choices. You know, I just, you know, New York can actually be taken from the left. They've lost so much ground. If you talk to people, but the challenge is fighting the Upper West and East Side. Okay, fighting Columbia, fighting NYU, because they just own the communications war. They own it. Okay, and it's disgusting to watch, but they own it, and we've got to take it back. And there's so many people, especially the working class millennials. I have a daughter in New York, and she's in that age group, and she was telling me, and she worked in political fundraising, and she's like, Dad, like, no one ever talks to us. She goes, on the left, they'll ask you, you know, which Democrat you're voting for without telling you why you should vote for them. She goes, and the right, she goes, we never hear from them at all. And that's a huge population that everyone's ignoring. It's crazy. But it's doable. People just want you to make the effort to say why you should vote for, you know, why they should vote for your guy or girl. No one's doing it. Mamdani is not a mayor for all of DC. Mamdani's not a mayor for anyone. Mamdani is like a Disney kind of failed producer, shitty rapper. Mamdani is nothing more than a sock puppet. He's like a more polished version of Kamala Harris without the alcohol abuse. He's not going to lead anything. He's seriously, like, that guy is got so many puppet strings on him, it makes me sick. And by the way, okay, let me just say this is just a theory backed by no facts. Here's what I think. I think Mamdani is there to drive down real estate prices, and I guarantee you most of that real estate will be grabbed up by big funds because people are already leaving the city. If you just Google it, you can find almost 1 million headlines attest to that fact. Go to like realty.com even. People are leaving New York City in droves. That drives prices down. That's prime real estate. Okay, that's major ports. That's what's New York. It's a real estate grab. You put a guy like that in, he scares the hell out of everyone with all this socialist talk, which, I'm sorry, but like the unions, the real estate investors, hell, even the foreign investors would never let it happen because they'll lose money. And he knows that. But yet those same people who make money on rent and real estate, they're the ones backing him. I think it's a real estate play. I think that's his whole purpose, is to drive businesses out and drive private real estate owners out so the big corporates can come in and scoop them all up. That's what I think. But it's just what I think. I don't have anything to support that except for people leaving in droves every time Mondani says something about, basically taking control of like the grocery stores and everything. That's just ludicrous. Silva, unfortunately, does not have a chance vote. Cuomo, don't ruin the city with the socialist Mondami. Yeah, I think it's a tough road for Sliwa. I think he needs more money. Like, he needs to get his face and his voice out there more. I love the mission of the Guardian Angels, but I think it's time to lose the red beret. I think it's confusing for younger generations. Like, why is he wearing this red beret? I thought it was great. When I was a kid, I'd see him on the streets. I'm like, whoa, look at that's awesome. And it's awesome what they did. But I will say this. I don't think now's the time to be donning the beret. I just don't. That's just a messaging thing. But I could be wrong. What do I know? Sliwa has much of a chance as any. Just vote for him. There you go, Marzold. Stand by your guy, man. I agree with that. Look, just vote. She's right. Vote, 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 or he's right. Vote, vote, vote. Marzold, sorry. John says, at the least, Mondani represents a move away from the failing, destructive, hater, take bully status quo. Are you kidding me? I mean, no offense, John Comley. He is a destructive hater. He's going to make more. He's going to bring more hate, not less. No, I totally disagree with you respectfully. Everything he represents, everything he defends, is based in hate and destruction, and by that I mean radical Islam and socialism. Even if he's just mocking that, he's bringing it in. No, I don't agree with you. I'm sorry, and respectfully, that's your opinion. I respect you to have an opinion. Hope you respect mine. Mondami is a stoner. That must be on the cannabis thing. Yeah, by the way, guys, that's dangerous. Like, I would not be messing around with these dispensaries, okay? I thought it was kind of weird when things went legal, but, it was okay. But there are a lot of reports. Got to get to the DEA website. Even during Biden, a lot of reports about a lot of things in dispensaries getting laced with things. My daughter and her friends, they went to a club and like 4 people died in one night from fentanyl exposure. Stuff that they got from dispensaries. So, yeah, I would be careful with any of that stuff. Just honestly, I think clean living might be a good one with the exception of bourbon. But, yeah, I would not be messing with that stuff because you just don't know who controls it. You don't. Silva doesn't even want Cuomo. He hates him too. Comrade Lowe. Why would he want Cuomo? He's running against him. Comrade. Of course not. And look, I agree with Mar. He's a real New Yorker. Cuomo wasn't good for New York. We'll see if C was, but of course he doesn't want him. It's Cuomo. This is what happens when Republican Party abandons you for a failed Democrat. It's true. I agree with you there, Comrade Lowe. Sound good. Okay, Sacha, I don't know who you're talking about, but if you send another message, I'll figure it out. Sleep with the men. Marzold. So funny. Marzold, if you have like t-shirts and stuff, you should like put them on social media. If you guys, and by the way, if you guys are on X, you can follow me there at Brian O'Shea SPI. And if you send me a DM or just put, if you can't DM me and you put in your follow me, and then you could just like post directly and just say, hey, following you from the show, and I'll follow you back. Mondami is a hater of the Jews at NYC. He is not for all New Yorkers. Totally agree with you, Crystal Bluebird. Totally agree with you. I was just looking for my... I had a yarmulke here somewhere. Okay. New York needs Cuomo. They don't need Cuomo, but they don't need Mondami. What New York needs is not Mondami. I'll meet you in the middle there. California's the same. Oh no, California's worse. Prayer X10 and Prayer X10. Welcome back. California's way worse. Do you know they just passed a law that would make it legal for people, like anyone can pick up your kids at school because you don't have to show an ID to pick up kids at school. I'm not kidding you. Like it's a kidnapper's paradise. I don't know why anyone would even live in California anymore. I'll find the bill, or if anyone does, you can put it up in the chat. But yeah, I just heard about that the other day. I got to research it. But yeah, it's par for the course. They also let illegal aliens vote in their local elections. I bet you didn't know that. And from my show that I used to do with J.J. Carroll called Unrestricted Invasion, which you could find on this Rumble channel if you scroll back the episodes, L.A. actually allows illegal aliens to enter their police academy. Now, here's the problem with that. When they were coming across the border, they were ditching their IDs, and they scrapped DNA testing. No one knows who these people are. And they graduated their first class with some illegals in it, like, last year. It's crazy. Can you imagine that? Like, if I was a cartel, and obviously a big, entry point for your product, whether those are human beings or drugs or both, is going to be LA and San Diego. And I'd be like, hey, let's get all our boys, let's get all our gang members into the police academy. I mean, why wouldn't you if you're a criminal? That's crazy out there. And I was just, I'm out there a lot. I was just out there. We have friends in the Palisades. In the Palisades, it's nice, The minute you go to the bottom of that hill, it's just nuts, especially on the drive to LAX. Oh, it's like The Walking Dead. California, what a beautiful state, too. I lived in Monterey for 2 years. I loved it. And not anymore. Yeah, California, man. I think they've sold it to the Chinese, personally. That's what I think. Say Mandami, not Mandami. I cannot pronounce it because he has a stupid name. Mom Donnie. I don't care if I pronounce his name correctly. I don't like him. He's an enemy of the state. So I'll pronounce it any way I please. Sorry, dude, or girl, or whatever you are, S. But welcome to the show. Glad to have you. Okay. The news loves Madabadami. So he's controlled up. Yeah, totally. And I was going to put out a tweet today that said, the reason I don't like Mamdani is because the left does. That's it. That's enough for me. Anything they like, I don't like. Okay, anything they like, I don't like. It's that easy. Naru, welcome, by the way. Brian Ugello, good. Sliwa. All right, Cuomo will Marzold again, will hike up the taxes, and he's not so grounded. Curtis Sliwa is the answer for NYC's true mayor. He is, but you always got to pay attention to who he gets around him, and that's why I tell New Yorkers, it's like you got to get involved in politics. I'm involved in politics everywhere I live, in some way, shape, or form. Upstate, I go to all the town hall meetings to block weird Marxist businesses. Even here in Salem, I will support the candidates I can. I'll make sure, I'll try to block like windmills, whatever I can do. Try to do something. But the problem with Sliwa is that he's new, and so he really needs a good vetting team around him. Okay, he's streetwise, so that's good. And I've met him. He can spot a crook a mile away, but it's a different animal at that level. And so I just hope he surrounds himself not only with good people, but he vets those people. Okay, he vets those people, and it's very important. Let's say Sliwa gets in. That anyone who's announced on his staff, all of us need to be doing that due diligence, and you find something, you put it out. And don't be afraid to say, hey, this person needs to go. I've been doing that with Maha, and people have hated me for it. But consumerdiligence.org, which is the nonprofit I've set up with several other people, we investigate everything business-wise on the business end that tries to rip off Americans, regardless of their political leanings. And we found the other day, one of the team found the other day that Mark Hyman, one of the core founding investors in TrueMed, which is owned by Callie Means, who is Casey Means' brother. Casey Means is the Surgeon General pick. Callie Means is actually like the closest advisor to Kennedy. Well, Callie Means has a company called TrueMed. TrueMed is kind of like trying to position itself as the gateway for flexible spending authorization letters, meaning if you're a business and you want people to be able to use their flexible spending accounts for your product, and it's health related, supposedly, TrueMed gets you, they assist in getting you that letter. Well, that's Callie Means' company. And one of the founding investors is this guy named Mark Hyman. Well, Mark Hyman sits on the board of something called EWG. Go to ewg.org. And he sits on this board, this very intimate board, not some massive board where they don't know anyone, with the guy who founded the Tides Foundation. So we're constantly looking not only outside the gates, but inside the gates, because this is all bad, and we have to constantly, prune the tree or weed the garden, and there's still a lot of weeds that need to go. So check that out. You could go I'll pop it up. That's a hell of an article too. Good God. All right, absolutely. Oh yeah, wrap that up. Okay, answer. Yeah, I think he's the best answer. I don't think he's the answer. I think he's the best answer. And look, people get better at the job as they're in it, so that's important. Absolutely, San Francisco, Parnassus Avenue near UCSF, San Francisco, 1,000 to rent. Yeah, man, it is crazy, and it's like that in New York. GOP is not get the working poor. Do not get the working poor. I don't think the DNC gets the working poor either, to be honest with you. And former Democratic voters will tell you that. I don't think either party at the the legacy ends of it, like the people that have been there for too long, I don't think any of them get the working poor at all. I think Donald Trump gets them more than most because he actually goes and talks to people, and he's kind of that guy, and he also can. He doesn't need to know them or experience them to know people. He's really good with people, whether you like him or hate him. That's why, that's why he wins. And he gets things done even if you don't like him. I always tell people, they're like, why do you support Donald Trump? He's such a jerk. And I'm like, if I hire a plumber to fix my sink, I don't care if he's a jerk as long as he gets the sink fixed. I don't want a plumber who's going to be like, hey, I'm just like you, and let's be buddies. No, just fix my sink. I've got a really great handyman, but he never gets any work done because we like each other so much we end up hanging out all day. And then I pay him anyways because I'm the reason he was BSing with me all day. But he never gets stuff done, and I have to hire another handyman. The other handyman's got the job now. Now my buddy's just my buddy. But I don't want that. I want someone who gets it done. Curtis is the logical choice. I agree with you, Chia Hao. I totally agree with you. Welcome to the show. And yet you would rather vote for Cuomo, the elder killer, rather than Oh, come on. Victor Ortega. Okay, hold on. Let me read your whole comment. Welcome, by the way. And I'm not making fun of you, but I might make fun of your comment. Or not agree with it. I won't make fun of it. And yet you would rather vote for Cuomo, the elder killer, rather than Mamdani because you don't understand Mamdani's socialist platform that is welfare maximizing. I understand socialism, so the minute you say socialist anything, I'm done. I also understand radical Islam, and I also understand a freaking snake oil salesman when I see one. So yeah, I'd rather vote for someone who has a legacy stake in New York City than some interloper who just became a U.S. citizen like in 2018 under questionable circumstances from parents that clearly hate America. So yeah, I would vote for Cuomo over Mamdani. Hope that answers your question. Welcome to the show, though. And again, by the way, guys, I don't hate any of you, even if you disagree with me. I just came from a family of 9 kids, Irish family on one side, Ivory Coast on the other. We just yell a lot. So, and in New York, if you go there, we yell a lot. And if you know any people from the Middle East, they yell a lot too. So, take no offense, Victor Ortega, but I totally disagree with you. Why don't Cuomo and Sliwa have ground games? Are they intentionally trying to lose? Poppy, that is a great question, and if anyone has the answer, I'd like to see it, because, I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't. I just don't see what's going on. I don't see them coming down to, Queens and Brooklyn. I don't see it. Maybe Barclays Center, but that's not really representative of Brooklyn. Maybe Williamsburg, but that's not really representative of Brooklyn. How about Lower Flatbush? I don't see any of them doing that. The only people I see doing that, again, are people like Athena Clark and, the other candidates running with the my friend Jimmy's Republican club down there. But they're kind of like on their own. They're like, they're like winter soldiers out there fighting it alone. They need help. So yeah, I don't. If anyone has that answer, please. And you could always write your leads into me at brian@dailyclout.io. Let me see if I got a banner for you, make it easier for you. But yeah, you could always write in to those, or you could send me a DM on. You could always send me a DM on X, or I'm Brian O'Shea on Getter. Got the Substack. So on the bottom, you can see my X there, and also my Substack, or you can write into brian@dailyclout.io. Just kind of hashtag it or let me know what you're talking about so I know to open it, because we get a lot of emails. All right, where were we? Thanks for all the comments, guys, and thanks for coming in on this. I wasn't actually going to talk today, but I saw so many people tuned in. You made the time, so I made the time. And again, I don't have any more knowledge of this race than you do, so I wish my wife was on here. She might understand. I want to get some of these candidates on here too. They understand the politics of the city better. Okay, here we go. Victor Ortega. The man from rich people to live here is far too big to whatever capital loss will wait, the demand from rich people to live here is far too big to whatever capital loss will happen. You're going to have to expand on that one. Let's not forget that Mamdani is a rich person. Look, every city is going to draw rich people, but it's going to stop drawing rich people if they realize they got to give up all their stuff and their profits. Okay, I'm sorry, but without rich people, you don't have an economy, plain and simple. Because we all know communism never works. Okay, if you look at the way China is set up right now, that's a slave state. Like you think you think Xi Jinping is like sharing anything? Hell, his grave for his father's burial is like the size of my town. It's ridiculous. Communism, it's a scam. It is just slavery waiting to happen. It's a way to enslave a population to do your bidding. Communism's a lie, and anyone who believes otherwise is naive or trying to sell me communism. So, but thanks for the comment, Victor. Glad you're here. I'm not mocking you, man. I appreciate your interaction. So I like interacting because I like hearing your views. I'd like to know more about your views and why you feel this way, where you're from, where you're raised thinking socialism was a good thing. Because tell you what, I used to speak in Eastern Europe all the time for Students for Liberty. I was on the keynotes, and I've been to Ukraine, I've been to Russia, I've been to Macedonia, Georgia, you name it. And the kids over there, like in their 20s, they'd be like, hey, Mr. O'Shea, why is anyone even messing around with socialism or communism? It's the worst thing ever. And it is. It is. It is the worst. I'm not saying capitalism is perfect, but it doesn't crush the human soul the way communism and socialism do. So, Curtis, for the greater good of NYC. Easy Street Entertainment, LLC. That's kind of interesting. What is Easy Street Entertainment? Is that a real thing? Put your website up. We'd like to check it out. But yeah, I agree. Curtis, the greater good for NYC. You must drop out and endorse Cuomo against the commie Mamdani. Yeah, there's some. Let's see how it goes. When is the election even? I don't even know when it is, but it's coming up. I know that. But if it comes to that, absolutely. Kind of like what Kennedy did with Trump. Yeah, you're right. If he does drop out, he's got to endorse Cuomo. You can't just not endorse anyone because, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's smart. That's good strategy. Poppy, why do you think Cuomo doesn't have a ground game? Do you think he's intentionally trying to lose? Oh, I already answered that one. Oh, here we go. Come on, Victor. I'm going to put your comment up, but I just want to note for you and the rest of the audience, I did not say anything insulting about you. Okay, but I'll put it up. Why do you think Cuomo doesn't have a ground game? Do you think he's... No, I don't think it's that. Look, I think understanding the way a lot of these campaigns work, Poppy, is they kind of write off certain areas. They just assume they're going a certain way. And that's a mistake in anything. It's like... and I'm glad Donald Trump didn't do that, because I think the worst mistake the Democrats made was not letting him leave New York City when he was in that trial. He made the best of his time. He'd go to Bronx, he'd go down to Brooklyn, and he drew a crowd everywhere he went. That was the biggest mistake they made. I think he would have gone anyways, but yeah, you have to go to even places that are deep blue. All right, Victor, here comes Victor's insulting comment. Do you think your experience as a veteran has ideological warped... Oh, for Christ's sake, you watch too many movies. Years of propaganda has made the system of production your deity. No, I think my experience as a veteran has let me see the reality of the world. Okay, and I've seen, post-communist countries and current communist countries. I've seen dictatorships. I've seen totalitarian states. I've been to war. I've been to combat. I've seen what certain systems do, not only to the human body, but to the human spirit. So, as a veteran, has ideologically warped your mind? No, not at all. I mean, honestly, people's view of, the military, it's not like you get brainwashed. It's a job. You got to do a few more push-ups and everything, but, if you're married to live off base in a normal house, hell, I mean, one of my last duty stations was Fort Lewis in Washington. I used to live in Olympia, which is the greenest of the green. I was right near Evergreen State. It hasn't warped my mind. If anything, it opened my mind to a lot of different cultures, a lot of different religions, even Islam, because I speak Arabic. Thank you to the Army for teaching me that for 2 years at Monterey. So no, hasn't warped my mind. How would you... Well, let me ask you this, Victor. How can you know if my mind is warped if you don't know the baseline of my mind? Isn't that a bit presumptive? You're on Investigate Everything, so you gotta do a little better. Years of propaganda has made the system of protection your deity. Okay, that's just I think, I don't know. Are you just trying to impress us? It's beautifully written, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Made the system of production. The system of production is actually communism. The system of profit and having the ability to make something better of yourself, that's capitalism. But communism is production-centric, not capitalism. Capitalism is profit-centric. You should maybe dust off those old history books. Yes, you have to make product, but we make more than product. There's just, and you're allowed to. And you're going to get better. You're actually going to get better product when you are producing product because you have competition. Prove me wrong. Show me anywhere that has better product than a capitalist system. Russia? I mean, Soviet Union back then? No. China? No, the only products they have that are better than ours is the ones they steal from us. So no, I think you're wrong. But, you made your comment, but it hasn't warped my mind. I don't know anything about you, Victor. I'm not going to say anything bad about you, like something's warped your mind, because I don't even know you. So I don't know what your baseline mind is. So do a little better. You can research me. Hell, you could even be on my show. We could talk all day. But get to know someone's baseline before you make an assumption. Because you know what they say. Assumptions make an ass out of you and umption. All right. Mondami for the win. And I for the win. And I don't know what that means. I wish you the worst on that wish, Tanya, but thanks for showing up. Mondani for the loss, please, dear God. Can't stand Mondani. I can't even pronounce his damn name. All right. Prayer X10. Seems like the GOP just abandoned. Yeah, I do get that impression. And look, that's the sentiment of a lot of people. And, I think what's happening with right-wing influencers is a real travesty because they're messing up. You have got to... You can't draw lines. Look, the thing about America, in my opinion, and I can speak with some authority, no more than anyone else, but I've lived in a lot of states. I've lived in Maine, I've lived in the Deep South, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, I've lived in Seattle, I've lived in Oregon, I've lived in California, I've lived in Texas. The thing is, it's like you can't just have a cookie-cutter answer in ideology for America because it's 50 different countries that are all working together and decided to be on the same team, but they're all different. They're all different, you know, and you look at New York, it's different borough to borough. So whether you're left or right and you say America is this or America is this, it doesn't work because you have to address each one of them and kind of find that happy medium to really make sure everyone is taken care of, you know, as much as you can. And it's impossible to fulfill everyone's 100% needs in what they wish for from this country. But, you know, you can encourage them to put into this country and make it so they can get what they want from this country from hard work and, you know, like entrepreneurship and good ideas and grit. Victor would disagree with that. He chooses for the state to give you things, which they will until they run out of them. And then Victor will be making widgets for 10 cents a day and 2 bathroom breaks. But hey, if that's what he wants, that's what he wants. Reposted the stream. Thanks, man. Something is off in NY. Do not think he's socialist. Yeah, that's what I was saying too. I mean, come on. You know, I started digging into him, and unfortunately this damn news cycle just travels so fast. It's like, then I'm on to the next thing. But I do have a file. I was trying to pull it up, but I'll try to get something, do a show on Mondami. I kind of need to, I think, before these elections. Curtis Sliwa, totally. I'm with you, Mar. Hey, why doesn't someone yell at MJ? They misspelled Mondami, but I don't blame MJ because who knows how it's spelled? Who knows if it's even his real name? Mondani said Bernie is who he admires, says it all. Well, you know, it's better than admiring Obama, you know, but it's like getting hit with a car or a truck. I hear what you're saying, MJ, and I agree with you. True. Mohammed Mizan. I choose NYC, not Israel, America first. Yeah, I choose America over any country. I support Israel, but as an ally, I support Israel as much as I support what the UK used to be, but always America first. Yeah, so I choose NYC, not Israel. Love more context on that, Mohammed, and Masaka, by the way. And Kayfa Halleck. Your opposition... Oh, wait. Who's this? Oh, it's S again, okay. Your opposition to Mamdani stems from his opposition to the Zionist Senate. No, actually it doesn't. Not at all. It's because he is running on a socialist ticket. Plain and simple. Okay? I'm a China hawk. Okay? I don't really get involved in the whole debates on Israel, Zionism, this and that, the other thing. They're an ally, then, you know, I stand with them, but never before America. Okay? So let's just be clear. Europe, and thank you for making that a question, though, S. That's fair. Your opposition. No, it doesn't stem from that. It stems from he's a freaking socialist, and he wants to bring communist policies to the greatest capitalist city the world has ever seen. That's why I'm against him. I'm against anyone who's a communist, anyone who's a socialist, anyone who thinks Mao was not so bad or Lenin had good ideas or Marx wasn't a total... Marx was a loser, by the way. He never even stepped foot in a factory. So that's what I'm against. I'm against anyone who wants to kill any innocent people, especially, you know, when they say, you know, target these people. I'm against that. And I'm against liars. I can't stand Mamdani because I think he's everything that's wrong with any bad human being. That's what I think. Sliwa was great. Yeah, I think he did a great job, Carol. Definitely. Was really great. Double down. I like it. Jeremy Coolidge, Curtis Sliwa is for you. I agree, Jeremy. I agree. Kayam Paul. Okay. All right. Mamdani, not Mamdani, fool. Okay, S. See, you guys, I could always tell, like, when you start insulting people, that means you're out of ideas and thoughts. It's a bad look. Come on, gear up, be a little tougher. The two bookends were a complete disaster. Go, Curtis. That's well said. Mamdani. Is it Mondani? I'm going to say it wrong for the rest of the show just to piss you off, S. Hi, Brian. Wow. Hey, Blue Wolf. What's up? Great to see you. Been a while. Sorry I missed you on the last episode. Didn't know until after the fact. I didn't know what was going on. They asked me to stream the debate, and I did, and then I stuck around because there were so many people with great comments. You stick around, though. Let's get your comments. Don't be brain dead. Vote red. I'm not brain dead. Hope you're not talking to me. Handsome the cat. Great name, by the way. Welcome to the show. I always vote. Well, I don't always vote. I didn't always vote red, but now I do. What time does the debate come on? Oh, it already came on. It came on at like 8 o'clock. It's over. But you can catch it anywhere. Yeah, definitely. I'd go to C-SPAN to get the whole thing and just, end it before you have to listen to their comments. C-SPAN will normally have like the entire thing, like without, interrupting commentary. So good answer. Thank you. All right, so here we go. So what you like from Cuomo policy? No, man, look, to be fair, and that's a fair question, I don't really know his policies. I just know he's not Mamdani. That's it. And I said that at the beginning. I don't really know much about this race. I'm just kind of commenting. Consider me, I'm barely the host right now. I'm part, if we were all in a bar right now, we're all having a chat. It's just that until I get that little plug-in thing where you could call in, which is coming. But I don't have the answers. Politics is not really my forte. As people who know me know, investigations and, getting to the core of the facts. That's what I do. I'm an investigator, intel analyst, podcaster, dog owner, many things. But yeah, I'm not. People like my wife. She would probably have way better input on this. So we're just throwing some things around. And I'm taking a little abuse from the resident Marxist, but that's okay. All right, where can we watch this? I'd go to C-SPAN, Steve. Or anywhere. You'd probably go to Real America's. Like, you can go anywhere and find it, I'm sure. Okay, Road Life. You know why Mom Donnie is going to be good for the city? Unlike Como, he isn't bought. Okay, Pollyanna. Sorry. I'm sorry. That was mean. Come on, dude. Come on. You know what? Challenge accepted. I'll show you exactly how he's bought. Not tonight, but come on. You cannot be that gullible. Wait, are you on the Mom Donnie campaign? You could be honest. Just post it up there. Anyone who thinks that, come on. What do you think? He's like, just came out of nowhere and he's just got such a terrific smile. We just couldn't help but follow him. Of course he's bought. Of course he's bought. He's been bought his whole life. He's been pushed up by both, especially his mother. Come on. I know you know better than that. Ha, Crystal knows. Como is not Silva. Como, if not Sliwa. I gotcha. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. Hopefully Sliwa. People from Mondani. Okay, look, Marxists. The Marxists in the room. I'm trying. It's a tough name. It's not natural to have the M after the M before the D. Usually got the N and then the D. But people from Mamdani are for handout period. Well, that's all socialists and communists. They think it's a great idea until the handouts stop coming, and yet they're still indentured to the state. But you see, people who push communism either are running it or have never experienced it or don't know anything about history. That's typically the case. But the reason they don't know anything about history is because they stop thinking for themselves, because that's really the point in one of the points in communism is why think for yourself? The state will think for you. Why do you think they got rid of and the state? Oh, they hate competition. Thinking for yourself is competition. Churches are competition. Mom and dad are competition. Why do you think Mao had communes? Okay, it destroyed the nuclear family. So yeah, I mean, communists and socialists by their very nature are mentally lazy and tend to be physically lazy until they're forced to work. Then they don't have a choice. All right. Mamdani is bought and paid for by Qatar and other puppet masters. Are you kidding me? I agree with you totally. I think what's his name again? Road Life knows that. Whatever. Handout you're not gonna get. Oh no, you'll get a handout. That's how it works. Yeah, communists will give you a handout. They'll promise a lot of things too. First you get a loaf of bread, then you get a slice of bread, then you get a ticket that says come back next Tuesday and get some bread, and then when you show up for that bread, they're like, yeah, we're gonna move you out to. We're gonna move you out to like I don't know I'm trying to think of a crappy area of New York. I don't know, the methane factory, and after you work a full day, then you'll get your bread. That's how it works. It's amazing so many people like get suckered into it. November 4th. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's when the election is. It's too late for NYC. Damn shame. They get very aggressive and use a lot of fake news talking points when we try to debate them. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about New Yorkers in general or the Democrats? And again, I'm not challenging you. I just don't know who you're talking about. New Yorkers will argue with everyone. I love that. Depends on the New Yorker too. Like I said, like if you talk to, a college grad from Barnard or like NYU or Columbia, that's a lot different than when you talk to my buddy Ken, who plays chess every night, literally on the streets of Clarkson and over Flatbush. They still like play chess. All these old dudes, I love it. He's a different New Yorker. I mean, like I said, like neighborhood to neighborhood, every New Yorker is different. So if you want to specify, I'll see if I can put some color on it. One lady said we definitely don't need any more Republican politicians because because of ICE coming to lock us all up. I know, man. Oh, it's so stupid. Like, yeah. Well, we'll have to do a whole show on Portland. Anyone that. But look, I will say this, all right? And me and JJ Carroll, my very good friend, former co-host, we used to talk about this a lot. He'd be like, why do the left keep buying into this? And I said, man, okay, go to New York, for instance. Talk to my friends who are like in the movie industry and got a lot of those people, good people. They don't see any other news. Talk to most people, like talk to as many people as you can when you're like in a different city or something. Most have never heard of Rumble, few have heard of Substack, more have heard of Substack now, they've never heard of these platforms. So the only news they see is legacy media, and they just assume that Fox represents all Republicans, which anyone who has a half a brain doesn't listen to Fox because they're as bad as the rest of them. So it's up to us to kind of push people towards alternative sources of news, because, for instance, here's a great thing to try. Go to YouTube, okay? Type in Donald Trump, and then on the side, you'll see suggested videos. They get scarier and scarier as you watch. Or the next time you're on a road trip, you stay at a Holiday Inn or something like that, turn on the TV and tell me what you see there. Stay at the Hyatt Place. You'll get Fox News, but that's it. You'll get Euronews. You'll even get CGTN, which is the Chinese news. But they don't know about other news sources like Real America's Voice or Newsmax, which is questionable sometimes, but they just don't know. They think the only alternative news sources, like in New York City, they think are, the New York Post. Okay, you can't really find Epoch Times unless you go uptown. You can only find it in Chinese in Brooklyn. But I walked around Brooklyn. I try to take a different route with the dog every time I walk, and I usually go for about a mile or two. So I try to get a different bunch of blocks. It's so hard in Brooklyn now just to find a newspaper, like a physical newspaper. It's not like over the bridge. Like, it's weird, but at least in my area, near the park, over in the Flatbush area, it's really hard to find a newspaper. And when you go down certain streets, the only newspapers you'll find are these like really left-wing bias ones, like the Black Democratic Voice and all this. And it's like, well, no wonder people think this. They're surrounded by this barrage of fake news. And JJ's like, why don't they just read the other news? I'm like, they don't know it exists unless we tell them. He's like, well, they should be smarter than that. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make sense, because why would you look for something that you don't even know exists? That'd be like saying, what do you mean you didn't find the Fraggle Rock unicorn warrior? I'd be like, well, I didn't know there was such a thing. Well, you didn't look for it. Why would I look for it if I don't know it exists? So I think where people can really help is, don't push articles, push the platform. Just say, hey, check out this platform, and don't push a political article. Like if you got a friend who has no idea, and but they're like really into, like, I don't know, video games or something, push the Rumble video game channels on them. Expose them to the platforms, because a lot of people just don't know the alternatives. Might not change their mind, but at least they're getting a fuller view of the world. Because everything else is real propaganda. And even on Rumble, there's propaganda. I'm not naive, but yes. I voted for ICE and would again. Oh, hell yeah. Yes, I vote for more ICE. If I was about 5 years younger, I would freaking volunteer for ICE. Classics forever. I think you need to go to a doctor. Well, the yellow color is just, it's the lighting. So, but I appreciate your concern. That's really nice. Very, very empathetic. I appreciate that. Classics forever. Let me see. Me too. I told her there's nothing to worry about if you are a law-abiding citizen. Well, yes and no. I mean, I still don't tell police anything I don't need to, even when I get pulled over for speeding. It just depends where you're at. You know what I mean? So, like, look at, for instance, Nick Sorter. I mean, he got arrested by the Portland police for putting out the fire on an American flag. And he went to the police, and then they arrested him. So, yes, in principle, absolutely agree with you. But I just know your rights. You know what I mean? And always, I say never say more than you have to say to any law enforcement authority, even if you are a law-abiding citizen, because you never know if that officer you're talking to is not corrupt. Good example, like I said earlier, LAPD. They've got illegal aliens going into their academy since January of 2024. So you might be a law-abiding citizen, and you talk to a guy that just a year ago was in a cartel. Now he's wearing a badge. It might not help you. So I always say just keep your cards close to your chest with anyone you don't know. But I agree with you in principle. Handsome the cat, which is a great name, by the way. Haha. She claims they are taking people who are rich citizens too. Fake news. Yeah, I know. Well, don't forget, like, these No Kings things are this Saturday, and I'm definitely bringing a camera and going. We got a lot of people going. Definitely bringing a camera going. I went last time, and it was quite comical. I went to a smaller one. But I think it's important that we capture as much footage as we can. So when there is violence and they try to claim there wasn't violence, they can't get away with that. Like Portland, thank God there's citizen journalists out there, because there's been nothing but violence, and it looks like they're going back to violence. But when the news showed up, that's when they all put on the inflatable animal costumes and try to say, oh, you guys are ridiculous. We're just crazy lefties with our animal costumes. We're not doing anything. Please. But it was already captured. We already knew. So, it kind of fell on deaf ears. So funny, but so true. Oh, wait. LOL fake news has them in a chokehold. Yeah, I know. It is sad. And I just, when I talk, I used to fight people and just tell them they're wrong in person. Now I just look at them and I go, you really, okay, all right. Just kind of make them feel dumb. And then if they're uncertain, then they'll be like, what? So funny, so true. Yeah. So funny, so true. Absolutely. Classics forever. There is something for y'all to worry about. Without due process, there is no such thing as a law-abiding citizen. I agree with you. I was talking about the Mangione case. Like, that's why it's so important that we don't accuse people of a crime until they've had a trial. You're right. Look what happened to Donald Trump. Classics. I know you're going to hate that, but you got 34 indictments for no crimes. And prove me wrong, but like, the court records are there. It's like, without due process, there is no law-abiding citizen. Look, you're right, and without law, and regardless of your political views, without a criminal justice system that we all abide by, both the law enforcement and the citizens, we don't have a law-abiding citizen. We don't have due process. We don't really have freedom. Okay? And I think what makes our criminal justice system probably the best ever in the world, not perfect just because people don't follow the rules. If they just follow the damn instructions, it'd be fine. But because we have the presumption of innocence. And the biggest thing I see on both sides of the aisle with these high-profile cases is there's never a presumption of innocence, and it drives me crazy. Doesn't mean I believe the person or not. It doesn't matter what I believe. What matters is they have to have a trial. There has to be evidence and discovery. The process has to work, and it's a slow process before you can declare someone's a criminal or a rapist or, he shot United Healthcare. Like, the trial has to happen because none of us were there. Now, if you're there, you're holding the gun, you could say, oh, yeah, that guy's guilty. I helped him, but if not, then people that just shout that someone's a rapist or a murderer, and I don't care which side of the aisle you're on, if you're shouting things and you're not there and there's hasn't been a trial, you're an idiot. And you're not helping America. You're hurting America. So, yeah, classics forever. I have a feeling we disagree on a lot, but I agree on that. Blah. LOL. Did you know Obama had the record for deportation? Yeah, I did know that. I'm sure there was a lot of raids under him also, but the media is majority. Yeah, I agree with you. Damn shame. And honestly, I'm so sick of calling out the legacy media because the good news is this. Okay, this is good news. When I went to this No Kings rally, I was talking to a lot of young people. And look, I went to the one in Salem, Massachusetts, and it's all left. And I went around, I talked to people, had my microphone, didn't hide who I was or anything like that, and just said, what do you think? I was just asking kind of open-ended questions. And I asked one girl, I said, so where do you get your news? She's like, well, certainly not the New York Times or any of the legacy media because they all lie. So they know. Like, the people that matter know, because that's a big voting block. Here's the problem. With legacy media corrupt, with Fox News being corrupt, with even a lot of our blessed podcasters starting to look like they're under the influence of some pack, whether that's, this pack or that pack, not taking a side on that whole Qatar APAC thing, because they are political action committees. They both get influencers. It happens. But I will say this, it's like, it's very dangerous because someone's going to swoop in and be believable. Look, the whole point of me making this show is to try to share what I know about fake news and fake media because I used to do propaganda. Like, I know how to spot it. It's very easy and what to look for. And I know a lot of you know that already. Like, I'm not here to teach you, but if you want to know something I know, please do. And I ask my regular audience all the time, how'd you do that? Let me know how you did that. That's really cool. Because we have to work. I read the New York Times, I read the Epoch Times, I read all of them as much as I can, or I watch them. And I watch MSNBC and I watch Real America's Voice. But I do that to hear the messaging. Okay, to hear the messaging. Because like someone said earlier, or they alluded to, if the left is really for something, you might want to look under the hood. But all the same, if the most influential right is all speaking in unison about something, you also want to look under the hood because that's influence. They're trying to push people's opinions in a certain direction. And when you see one side pushing in a totally opposite direction than the other side, somewhere in the middle is the truth. And that's I think, what everyone has to do constantly. And yeah, a lot of people say, well, I don't have time, I have a job. I got like 3 jobs, but what I do is I just make it part of my nighttime routine and my morning routine, just like doing some push-ups, get up in the morning. I like Citizen Free Press. They're biased, yes, but I'll get a few headlines. And then I will go to whatever Microsoft's recommending as news, and I'll grab those headlines. Then I'll usually grab a local paper, and then I'll look on as many of the govs, and then I set up my Google alerts for like .gov sites, and which are also biased. But if you read enough of it, you start seeing the patterns, and you could probably get to the truth as long as you have a question you're trying to answer. That's my advice. But what do I know? All right. Deport man commie. Woo! Deplorables United. Deport him if he's deportable legally. That's what I say. If he's legally here as a citizen, I don't like him, but if he's legally here, he gets to stay. But yeah, if he's here illegally, absolutely. Don't fall for Democrat scare tactics. I never fall for Democrat scare tactics. Yeah, no way. Democrats, the party of violence. They are now. Actually, they always have been, kind of. Girl, you are the only one falling for tactic. Oh, okay. Got something going on here. All right, so so Democrats, the party of violence, and the class says you are the only one falling for tactics. Wait. All right, and then be for real. Is that what that means? Classics. Okay. And then Damn Shame says, think how many lawsuits people would have against ICE if they were really grabbing citizens. I know, it's stupid. I know a lot of ICE agents. I know a lot of illegals. And the smartest... Look, here's the thing. You ain't going to find a lot of illegal aliens at the protests. You're going to find a bunch of upper middle class white kids. And, because the smart ones, if they got in... they want to stay in or they want to get out on their own terms. They ain't going to be like waving no flag. The dumb ones do, because that's how they get scooped up. And look, a lot of these are, I'm not saying they're fake protests, but a lot of them are. Check out Crowds on Demand. Check out my work I did on Action Network. Do you know for like $10 to $99 a month, you could get a subscription at Action Network. I think it's actionnetwork.org, which is the CRM attached to ActBlue. You can not only organize a rally or a riot, whatever you want to call it, anywhere in the world with your login. You can actually like splice in plugins or widgets for DoorDash to make sure your riders get fed, Lyft to make sure they get to where they want to be, Kinko's to make sure all your t-shirt designs are in sync anywhere in the country. Okay, they'll make your hashtags for you. Check out, just look up Brian O'Shea and Action Network. It's amazing. Also Open Collective, and there's Immobilize is one of those now too. But yeah, like they're all in sync, man. And that's how they're in sync. It's crazy. Also, many of these raids are called on by the residents. They must have a good reason since they are right there living in the... They get paid. They get paid. But there's also this thing I heard today. I'm not sure if it's true, but there is a... when you've been misinformed so much, like go to like some of these smaller towns in like Massachusetts, for instance. Like things like... I'm trying to think of a good example. Go to like Beverly or Marblehead, like kind of the upper middle class towns. They really believe this stuff. They really believe it. Now, I will say, you know who got really quiet pretty quickly? Martha's Vineyard. So, yeah, because they got a dose of it. But the thing is, they really believe it. And I saw, God, I wish I could find this interview. I saw there was this couple... I forgot which town they were in. Damn, I think it was, I want to say Arlington, Massachusetts. And they kind of look shell-shocked, but they're like, you know, left-wing voters, obviously. Like, oh, yeah, so they interviewed them for taking in some illegal aliens. And they looked a little shell-shocked. They're like, oh, yeah, so we called Catholic Charities. And we were kind of surprised at how quickly they showed up with like 8 people, and they were all men. And they're in their house. I'm like, just got to learn somehow. NYC Dems suck. I totally agree. Hey, Ernie, well, there you are. Got to help those people in the 1,000 SF cabin on the lake with... Okay, 1,000 square foot. I don't think our cabin was 1,000 square foot. I'd hardly call it a cabin. He's talking about the way I grew up. Grew up very, very poor. That's my actual cousin. Great guy. But no, we did have 9 kids in a little cabin. And it wasn't a cabin. It was a renovated garage. Did you know that? Ugh. But yeah, when you're kids, you don't realize you're poor until you meet kids that aren't poor. They go like, "Oh, nice house." Ernie, hey man. Dusty Commando, do you believe in Jesus? Of course I believe in Jesus. Hey Cousin E, great to see you. Blue Wolf, okay, the band's back together. And Dusty Commando, love to know why you're asking. CE, did you finish your last thought to me? Everything. All right, I think we're at the end here. I'm going to wrap it up soon. Evening, damn spell check. All right, guys, let me see. We're going to have more over the weekend. Oh, here we go, Dusty. Thanks, man. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah, I hear you. How's that pertain to what we're talking about, with all due respect? I know what Jesus said. I'm I was raised in the faith, but can you tie it to the topic? If not, that's okay. I would definitely recommend you check out Naomi, my wife's Geneva Bible readings. You'd love them. I don't talk a lot about religion. I'm very private about religion, though I'm very devout. I'm just not, I'm not, I don't really make it a topic for me. You were looking into the world, but not this. Okay. You have no idea how I'm looking into the world, all due respect. Just like I have no idea how you are. So, but you can investigate it and get back to me. And I'm not mocking you, but let's not make assumptions that are just assumptions about anyone, because that's how we get into this whole quagmire of, not understanding each other. You don't understand me because you haven't asked. You're making assumptions. Okay, you're just kind of preaching. Jesus says you are the world. Yeah, thanks. Okay. That's a nice one to end it on. And I agree. And look, if we can all love each other, that'd be great. But just start with the person next to you, I say. Okay. So with that, I'm going to leave you. Okay. I'm not going to, sorry, Dusty, I'm not going to put up, it's a nice comment, but I can't keep going on this. It's derailing my conversation. Feel free to tune in though. But Dusty, because I brought it up and it's getting late and I need to actually still eat, take the poor dog out. Let me just give you that site, and I recommend all of you go to it. Here we go. Oh, you know what? And I got to talk. All right, so let me share the screen. Right, and here, share screen. There we go. Boom. All right, so get rid of that. All right, so this is Daily Clout. This is where you'll find this show and all the shows. So, oh, that's me. So yeah, there are these are all our shows. That's my show there. Hearts of Oak is great, by the way. She's excellent. Like, she used to be Melissa Blazek, politician up in New Hampshire. That's where we met her. And she kind of gives you the inside of what really gets politicians' attention. She has great strategies. Love Drew Allen, man. This guy's great. Love arguing with my wife. When we do, we don't argue, but In the Lair is another one. Let me see if they have these. There we go. That's easier to see. So we got Outspoken. Dusty, you might want to check out. I don't know where they went, but just Outspoken. I guess she does the readings on there, but the Geneva Bible readings are great. Heart and Mind, she's a psychologist. Dr. Dina's awesome. Talks about how to detect liars, everything. Man in America is just one of my favorite hosts. I loved getting interviewed by him. I was very excited when Seth became one of the contributors. In the Lair, that's just a lot of fun. Shannon Joy, I almost disagree with everything she says, but she's a friend, and she is got a great show, really great show. Sarah Westall as well. I like Sarah a lot. She's very, very, very good. These are all really good shows. Peter interviewed me not too long ago. I met him in London for the first time not too long ago. And Drew Allen, again, I love Drew Allen. He's even written a book already. He's got, he's a young guy. So there we are. So you just go dailyclout.io up there, and by all means, if you can donate, if you can't, just share the shows, whatever you could do. There's also lots of news, commentary. You can look up bills, everything here. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. And then the other one, too, if you want to know more about, wow, Dusty, you are just rolling. Okay. And again, good words, Dusty. Wrong show. But good. And actually, Dusty, I will say this, though. One guy you do need to, I'm just trying to be fair here, but you're kind of posting a lot that I just don't have time to read. But Dusty, you would look, this is a good follow for you. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. This is a friend of mine, and we work together. He was supposed to be on tonight because we both took a little adventure into Blue Sky, which is a lot of fun. Let me see here, but his name is Bill Stebbins. He actually teaches a Bible study. I actually learned a lot from him about the Bible. You would like him a lot. He's a retired lieutenant colonel. This is a really great guy, and I think this is a good follow for you, too. So check this one out. I'm not trying to dump you off on someone. I'm just saying I just can't get to all your conversation right now. And to be honest, I'm not that versed in the Bible enough to really engage. But this is Bill here. You can find him at Unbowed Paladin. Totally recommend you show. He's great. I love talking to Bill. He's an excellent teacher. He's an excellent interlocutor. So I'll leave you with that one. Wait. What do you mean? I'll donate if we talk about religion. Oh no, that's terrible. You can't say that. Sorry, Dusty. I'm reading your comments. I read everyone's comments, but damn, Dusty, it's like I can't read all 20 of your comments. All right, fine. I'm going to blow through them really fast. Okay, I'm just going to be fair. Dusty says, but since I have chosen you from the world, the world hates you because I have chosen you. Jesus says our spirits goes back to the Lord. I don't need a sight. Okay. You are, no, I'm not. And don't want to talk about the Lord. I don't want to talk about the Lord right now. Let me see. And if you were, I am a Christian. Christianity is not a religion, it's a personal relationship. Okay. I'm being fair. I'm just reading the comments. I don't agree or disagree with them. I'm not interested in those people. I don't know which people. I'm interested in Jesus. Okay, which people are you talking to? I think it's capital J, by the way. Jesus says, do not fall in love with the worldly things. Okay, it's like a race. Okay. I'll donate if we talk about religion. Yeah, I don't play that game. That doesn't sound like something the Lord would want you to do. That's you're going to force someone to talk religion and then you'll pay them. Okay. You said you believe in Jesus. Yep. You did with everyone else. I do believe in Jesus, or I did what with everyone else, and just barely joined. Well, there we go. Music Filipina, brah. This is the reason Christianity is falling so hard. Okay. Let me see. Make it. You said to make it. No. I said if you want to, you can make a donation or share the show. It's not my site. It's my wife's site, so I don't. Totally different business. I don't care if you donate. You can donate if you want. You don't need to donate to the show. I don't even get paid for this. I do this because I like doing it. This is the reason Christianity has fallen off hard. Music Filipina, explain that. Okay, you guys, I am going to let you Music Filipina, put your comment on there. You can explain your comment. How's the debate going? I'm not debating. I'm just putting up comments. I can't debate on religion. I don't know enough. I know where my strengths are, and it's definitely not in debating religion. Debate is going good. Wait, are you guys a team? Okay, I'm done. No more comments. We're good. I will say this. Definitely. Oh, okay, NYC. This guy doesn't want to talk about religious. I don't want to talk about religion, not religious. I don't think that's a proper sentence structure. I don't want to talk about religion. Not right now. Do you want to talk about politics? Want to talk about investigations? Okay. You just want to talk about your thing. Make a show. you should make a show. And if you have one, send it to me. I'll even tune in. Okay? But people aren't here to talk about religion. They're here to talk about the debate and whatever investigation. So Music Filipina says, no, I meant NYC. The debate was interesting. I would recommend you watch it. It's tough. I mean, we'll go into more commentary tomorrow. I wasn't even going to talk tonight. But I did. Okay, and then Dusty says, sure, Dusty Commando, don't force it on it. Okay, guys, seriously, no one's forcing anything on me. I'm a full-grown man. I do things, believe in things the way I do them, not because someone tells me to. And the worst thing you could do, look, honestly, Dusty, if you're, really wanting people to hear what you have to say, it's not the way to do it. Don't force it on them. Seriously, like, make a channel. That's what Bill does. That's why I gave him his X profile. Like, he just goes out and broadcasts. If you tune in, you tune in. Just like I do with this show. I don't care if people don't want to hear what I have to say, I'm not going to go out and jump on their chats and say, hey, you got to listen to me, and then make, declarative statements about the state of their spirituality. That's just foolish. That's literally how problems start in societies, is people making assumptions about everyone because they think they're right and everyone else is wrong. You know what? There's three truths. There's three sides to every story, as they say. Yours, mine, and the truth. I'll leave it there. Okay. I agree with you there. Absolutely. I agree with you there 100%. And I would say this. The LG would agree with you, too. They even have a club called LG without the BTQ. Seth Holhouse is truly great and a real gentleman. Yeah, he's awesome. I love Seth Holhouse. He is absolutely great. Okay. And... oh, wait. Yeah. While I'm thinking about it, look at that. There's my Bible with my name on it. Boom. Yeah. By the way, I'm a confirmed Catholic. It was Bill that actually got me most interested in learning more about the Bible and, decades of my life. And Bill's the first person to make it interesting. And you know why he made it interesting? Because he didn't try to force it on me. All right, you said you would get off, but I'm still here because you keep putting comments, Dusty, and I also, promise I'd put up every comment. So the trick is I've got to get off before you put more comments. I don't ask Mayor for press. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go on that one. Comment bar is shut now. I appreciate it, Dusty. It was fun. Welcome back. And if you do want to turn on your video and do a show, you should. And if you've got something really interesting to say, in any capacity, even religion, I'm happy to listen. Send me an invite. Okay? Send me an invite. More than welcome the chance. And if I have time, I'll tune in. Now, if you send me an invite and I'm going live in 10 minutes and then you get mad that I don't show up, well, that's not really the thing to do. Also, if you have a lot to say, why don't you try X Spaces? That's a great way. But I would recommend just say what you want to say. And if people want to hear it, they will come to you. Make your bonfire bigger. And people will either be repelled by it or they'll come to warm by it. And I think that's what we all need to do, is stick with the truth. The truth is the most pure thing that we can think about. And I think it's, I believe that everything about God is truth. So why not try and find as much truth here on earth as you possibly can? So with that, without getting preachy, Dusty, thank you. Victor Ortega, thank you for your attacks on me from the communist standpoint, but it was spirited. I appreciate you showing up. Shows you are open-minded. And everyone else, who was it, S, the other communist or Marxist or whatever you were, enjoyed all your comments. I really do. So anyways, we'll have more tomorrow. Going to get into some stuff. I'm not really getting into the Mondami stuff, but I have a feeling Naomi is going to pull me onto In the Lair. So if I do, I'll let you guys know as soon as I can. You can find it on X or everything else. And that's it. I got no out for you, no out video. Did all the comments. Oh, before I forget, I'm so sorry. I forgot to say that this is a sponsor, and they're an awesome sponsor. Get Native Path nativepath.com/daily clout. I religiously use this stuff. I don't get paid by these guys, by the way. The Daily Clout platform does. I don't, again, but collagen. Gotta have collagen. This one's empty. Ah, good. I still have some left. Collagen is your mortar, man. It holds you together. You gotta have collagen. Your body stops producing it at 28 years old. So if you're not adding collagen, you're in trouble. What I do is I add it to coffee. It's flavorless, odorless. I add it to coffee. I add it to my cereal. It's great. I love it. And Native Path is like, check out all their ingredients. They're awesome. So go to getnativepath.com/daily clout and stock up on native collagen. And also, as Ernie knows, my favorite product is their Native Hydrate. Sorry, my camera's backwards, but this stuff's better than Gatorade. I am having a bad day if I wake up in the morning and there's no hydrate left. I've actually had to hide this from my son because he's a 14-year-old football, mega machine. And he's just fallen in love with these products. He takes the collagen as well, even though he doesn't need to. But yeah, I swear by it. I love it. And that is, I think, all the sponsors. I know there's new ones, and also go to, there we go, Daily Clout, check everything out. Oh yeah, here we go. And then this is Athena Clark's campaign. Make sure you check that out as well. And also make sure you check out, this is a great interview. I did it the other night. We're going to do more. He tried to call me from the correctional center today. I missed his calls, unfortunately, is Dexter Taylor's case. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you vote for. This is an important case because it's horrible what has happened to this man. See if I can find that. Where is it? Let me get to Rumble. Pull that up. But yeah, I had a great conversation with Dexter. I've known Dexter for years. I knew him before he went to jail. Basically what happened, in a nutshell, is he basically was assembling weapons, tinkering really with AR-15s and stuff in the privacy of his own home. And he was basically arrested and then sent to jail for 10 years. And he did everything he was supposed to do legally. Okay, and the judge in his case said, and this just happened, she said the Second Amendment doesn't exist in her courtroom because that was his whole defense. So had him on the other night, can try to have him on again this weekend. He's been on Viva Frei, he's been on everything. It's such a miscarriage of justice, it's disgusting. And so I hope you will tune in and check out that video. If you go to Rumble over there, just look up Investigate Everything, or You're Here Now. So yeah, it's very, very tough case. But what I love about Dexter, it's more than just about his case. You learn so much from listening to this guy. This guy's an amazing guy. An amazing guy. I talked to him for hours, and one day I just said, we just need to turn on the camera, man. Everyone needs to hear you. So, Dexter, if you're listening, I heard your calls. I was in the car, or I couldn't pick it up. I saw I missed a few today. But, let's get another conversation going. We got a lot to talk about. Also, I want to no, I won't go into that right now. Oh, yeah. And so then we have a new gold sponsor that I have actually checked out. They are good. Bellwether Signal reveals 7 hidden. Okay, gold is like invest in gold. What can I say? Go to cloutgold.com. Gold was like just above 1,000 5 years ago. Now it's at over $4,000 an ounce. It's more than just a safe harbor these days. If it has that kind of gain and it keeps going, it seems like it's not stopping. It's a great investment. Like gold used to be a thing I used to laugh at. Like that's what old people invest in. But then I look now, like you see the chart, it's like over 4,000 an ounce. Now here's the interesting thing about gold. China is buying up gold for a reason. And they've forbidden their citizens from buying up gold. also working with Brazil, because we all know Lula is current president of Brazil is a total CCP puppet. Brazil supposedly made a technology that can detect gold anywhere in the world that was stolen from Brazil. It seems to be a big grab up on gold. Okay, and silver is on the rise too. I've never been into precious metals as an investment until the last few years, but cloutgold.com, check them out. I'm very careful who I promote. I make sure I do all my due diligence. There was another gold company that tried to promote on this platform, and I wouldn't even do the script, and I was pissed when I realized how crappy they were. We have third-party firms that will bring us advertisers and say, hey, we want to advertise, and now the policy here is they've kind of got to go through me first. So, but these ones have, and they're great. Okay, and check them out. I would just say if you have like mutual funds, double check those, because I didn't realize how many crappy, and like I had a mutual fund forever. I used to work at Booz Allen Hamilton, and then after that I worked at SAIC. I was an intelligence contractor, and so I had these like mutual funds that were just part of my 401k. I never even looked at them. Man, I looked at them. I was like, holy crap. I'm glad I got my money out before USAID went down. I'll just put it that way. They had my money going in places I would never put money. So, and by the way, if the Jesus comment was because you think I'm a Satan worshiper, no, but I'm a big Halloween lover, and I found this awesome skull, and I go all in on Halloween. I love it. And it's a cool skull. Anyways, guys, let's call it a night. So, again, check out our two sponsors, cloutgold.com, and, of course, my favorite is the Native Path. I love Native Path. They're great. They're awesome. CEO's awesome. You can find his interviews. Good all around. Oh, and, yeah, that's what I was getting at. Definitely, if you haven't been there already, subscribe for free, do a paid subscription, totally up to you, but there are some killer articles that have come out on consumer diligence. We're going to cover a few of these. Let me show you that really quickly. It's amazing. I could talk for hours. Okay. So this is, make sure it's up. Great. Okay. This is amazing stuff. Here we go. Trying to figure out how to do this. Oh. All right, just trying to get to the main newsletter here. There it is. Okay, so this is Consumer Diligence Substack. It will blow your mind. For New Yorkers, this is a must-read right here. This is very revealing. Okay. We were talking earlier about, like, you know, always having to check out people in your own backyard. This is crazy. This company here, look who their endorsers are. Okay. It's called All Family Pharmacy. We got more news coming out on them this week. It's crazy. Okay. Even people we know, you know, but here's another article that blew my mind. Whoa. Okay. It's crazy on that one. And then other really, really great articles have come out. One of the writers did a huge deep dive on the escalator company involved when, you know, they shut down the escalator. Like, this guy went all in. I was amazed when I read this article. There was a scam here. Oh, and this one was really, really shocking. Tides of Influence, Soros, EWG, and the infiltration. I was talking about that Mark Hyman thing over there with the Cali means. Mark Hyman, Means Nexus. Definitely a good read. More coming out on that. But yeah, do support those people at consumerdiligence.substack.com. I am one of the founders of Consumer Diligence. And the way we pay the writers and the investigators is whatever they make off these articles, because you can see if you run a Substack, what comes in on each article, that's all we can pay them, and whatever people donate. You can also find, so yeah, check that out. That's on Substack. And if you forget that whole thing, you could just go to consumerdiligence.org. Make sure that tab with you. And the articles go up there as well. But do support those writers. They work really hard, and they write because they really want, you got to have transparency, you got to have due diligence, outside the enemy gates, inside the gates, outside the gates, and you got to make sure that the people that are vending to us or to your neighbors or community are for real and not going to rip people off, because if you weaken the population financially, it's still a weaker population, and that's how we see it. Plus, I was sick of people trying to sell crappy products to me or my elderly mother, and one day I decided to do something about it, called a few friends, and we put this together. And then the site is right here. Here we go. How do we do that? Yeah. So definitely check them out. There it is. Okay. Lots. So you'll find it all here. Wonderful articles. And that's the site is consumerdiligence.org. That will lead you to all the articles, and they're all really well sourced too. So there is no opinion at all. If a company has nothing but good stuff, they actually categorize that as, they put that out there as well. This is definitely something you want to tune into. They do have a Twitter you can follow. I'm going to stop now because I'm getting tired and I'm losing my rhythm, but I just wanted to put this out there. It's important stuff. And the whole point of this is before you go to invest, even like things we promote, by all means, you want to know about them. And what I found is things like like Consumer Reports and stuff, they're just also owned, and that's why everyone doesn't really make any money at Consumer Diligence, because it was important that everything comes in from individual donations, through subscriptions on the Substack is the main way the money comes in, and it's not very much because it's pretty new. It just started in August. But here is their X profile. You can find it there. Lots of really good stuff there. But yeah, check them out. Definitely follow Consumer Diligence at ConsumerDD. You want to follow that one right there. And consumerdiligence.substack.com. And if you forget that, just go to consumerdiligence.org. Okay. And that is it for tonight. Enjoy. One more comment. I bet it's Dust. Oh, no. Hey, there it is. Thanks, man. I got nothing against you, Dusty. You sound like a good dude. Thanks for letting me keep talking. It's that Irish in me, man. I can't stop. And then, but thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. Brian and Cousin Ernie, great to see you both. Always, God bless, gents, and be well. Brian, greetings to Naomi, of course, and thank you. Hopefully you saw our back and forth the other day. It was hilarious. Bill really enjoyed it. But do join us. Me and Bill are going to talk about we call it the adventures in, the adventures in Blue Sky. And if you don't know what Blue Sky is, that is like the left wing where they all left Twitter. They all went to Blue Sky. And I'm in there under plain name. Oh my God. I've been dropping trigger bombs left and right, see what would set them off. And you know what's crazy? After 5 months of just kind of exploring their trigger point, it was when I said something bad about Antifa. They went nuts. And I actually got booted. Somehow they reinstated me. I don't understand what that's about. Well, Bill's been doing the same thing, except he's been going under pseudo. And it's interesting what we both discovered. So we'll try to get that done either this weekend or next week. We were going to do it tonight, but he had guests, and then we had the debate. So very, very interesting. If you go to my X profile, you will find lots of that. And it was pretty interesting. I'll put it that way. Pretty interesting. Let me show you here. Let me see. Media. They were mad. The minute I said anything bad about Antifa, of all the bad things I said, and I said bad things about everything. The minute I said anything bad, they were on me like a bunch of spider monkeys. They lost their freaking minds. It was crazy. So we'll talk more about that. There's a lot more. Sorry, that was just a funny thing I put out. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. But yeah, literally lost their minds. Like these people, that's their trigger point is like Antifa, you know. And what I did is someone made a mannequin of an Antifa guy attached to their bumper, and I put this. That was it. They went crazy. So we will talk about that and other things we discovered. Took a deep dive on the management over at Blue Sky, and I'm curious why they put me back on. That blows my mind. But with that in mind, I will call it a night, and thanks for tuning in. I didn't even adjust my light, so I look like a giant yellow banana. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Brian O'Shea with Investigate Everything, and remember, investigate everything, because the only one that has the truth. I gotta think better slogan. All right, remember to investigate everything, and remember, facts don't care about your feelings, and don't investigate a theory. Don't follow a theory to get to the facts. Follow the facts to get to a theory, and then eventually you'll get to the truth. That's pretty good. Okay, we could work on that. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great night, and I'll leave you with the tile and then the outro.